local. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers.
All right, everybody, welcome in. It is the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers and Orion Sports Medicine. Happy Monday. We are off and rolling. What a beautiful Monday it is, by the way. It's always tough when you have days like this coming out of the colder months where you kind of hate being inside. But if I'm going to be inside, I'm glad I'm here, cracking this mic, hanging out with Kev and hanging out with you. So we're off and rolling on a Monday. A ton to get into. Of course, Kev, in typical fashion, the Reds cut us, we're off on Friday. And, a lot of news comes down the pipe on every day that we are off. I mean, that's just usually how it works. But the Cleveland Browns, exercise the fifth-year option on Baker Mayfield. We'll get into that coming up around the corner. Apparently, an anonymous, gotta love the anonymous, AFC quarterbacks coach has said that he would select Joe Burrow over Trevor Lawrence 100 out of 100 times. So we'll get into that coming up around the corner. And then those Cincinnati Reds, I think I need to go on one of them vacations that worked out last year, Kev, when the Reds went on that huge winning streak when I finally left the city for a little bit. But nonetheless, the Reds have now lost 7 straight. And the good news is they have a horrible Dodgers team. No. They have a very good Dodgers team coming up, and they're at LA starting tonight.
Good luck. That's all I can say. Hey, the team that I root for ain't doing too much better. The Cleveland baseball team is 9-11. They just finally won a game versus the Yankees yesterday, so they lost that series 3-1. So neither team from Ohio is playing good baseball right now.
Yep, Scott Campbell. Again, we're live on
Right
YouTube.
State is, though.
Yeah, Scott Campbell, really quick on YouTube, says, as much as the weekend was awful for the Reds, I'm still glad we have a full season. Let's go Reds. Get a 500 April. Scott, they ain't winning. They ain't getting 500.
Positive attitude.
No. You've been watching this team. Like, I don't even know what's wrong. Like, the problem is, Kev, is like, it's one thing if they have an issue that you could pinpoint and say, if you fix this, then this. So the Reds will lose a series because they'll get good starting pitching and then bad bullpen pitching. And then the next series against the Cardinals, they have 2 not so great outings from Luis Castillo and Sonny Gray. And then the bullpen pitch is fantastic. The Reds' run support is non-existent for the first 7 innings. And then they decide they want to swing the bat the final 2 innings. It's frustrating. It doesn't make any sense. It's not like, when you are like an NFL team and it's like, man, we have a really good run game. We have a good quarterback, but our line's not great. So we know we need to fix that. Or, hey, we have a really good offense, but our defense is terrible. So we're going to focus on fixing the defense. Like, you know what I mean? When you feel good about what you got to pinpoint to fix the Reds, I don't even know where to start with them. And the frustrating thing is that this team is not built to have this many issues. The Reds paid the record payroll that they set last offseason, heading into last season. Basically, it's the same roster as a year ago, minus Trevor Bauer. But again, last year when you brought in Trevor Bauer, you didn't know that you were bringing in a potential, Cy Young winning pitcher who goes on. But Trevor Bauer would not fix the problems. Like, if the Reds still had Trevor Bauer right now, Kev, the Reds I don't think they're any better right now.
Right. Because the like you just talked about, if it isn't this problem, it's the other problem. If the bats ain't swinging, then the pitching is bad. And the worst pitching you can have is bullpen pitching because, trust me, being a Cleveland baseball fan, the starters are good, but the bullpen is bad. So you go to the bullpen, and a lot of these games versus the Yankees, it was, 2-1. And then the bullpen comes in, and then next thing you know, it's 6-1. And then the bats can't do anything. So I feel what you're saying.
Yeah, so Vincent Waller brings up a good point. Again, we're live on YouTube and Facebook. Go to YouTube, search ESPN Dayton, subscribe. You can watch us live every day. Facebook, we are live. Search The Justin Kinner Show. Vincent Waller's on Facebook. He says the problem with the Reds is that they are just wildly inconsistent and at many things. I'm sorry, I misread that. They're wildly inconsistent at many things, like it's in their DNA to be good and bad. And that's the thing. Like, you can't get a good feel for who they actually are. We know what they're capable of on any given night. But from one series, like that series against the Diamondbacks, they couldn't get, like, they had very good starting pitching from the back half of their rotation. And then the bullpen was garbage. And then against the Cardinals, you felt like, oh man, at least you have Sonny Gray and Luis Castillo. And they were god awful. And then the bullpen comes in and pitches great. And then by the time the lineup starts producing, they run out of innings late. And they lose by 1 run on a couple of these games. And it's like, they look like 1-run losses, but they were bigger losses than that because the Reds didn't decide to start playing until late. And David Bell yesterday. There's a lot of things I don't care for, a lot of things I do like. The one thing I like about him is, and he's kind of scary actually, because he's very silent and he talks like this, and then all of a sudden you piss him off, and then he goes just absolutely crazy. Like, it's the strangest thing. I've never, like, you have to worry about people like that, Kev. Like, there are people like me who I'm crazy all the damn time. I can go up a level, which is no surprise. But David Bell goes from like, hey, you know, this is my happy face. Like, I don't know what movie that was, but anyway, this is my happy face. Like, he has no emotion, no personality, and then all of a sudden he snaps, and I think he's literally going to physically assault these umpires. It is unbelievable. But I do love that yesterday he had enough. I thought it was ridiculous. Jonathan India, for the second time this year against the Cardinals, has had a pitch go high and up near his head. In fact, he got cracked in the skull yesterday. Mm-hmm. Luckily, you have those helmets. Those helmets, it kind of absorbs some of it, but you're talking about balls that are hitting your head at 100 miles an hour. Let's be real here. And David Bell comes out and was checking on Jonathan India, and then the umpire goes and gives a warning to both benches. Mm-hmm. Here's the problem with that rule that I can't stand is I think that more than so it's done to where it's going to keep the opposing team that got thrown at from retaliating.
Right.
So it's like, if you're going to throw at an opponent, you want to do it first so that the warning comes after, and then the team, then both teams get the warning, and then the opposing team can't retaliate. What the Reds and David Bell were fired up about is the fact that Jonathan India, for the second time this year, has taken a pitch to the head, and against the same team, the Cardinals. And I don't care if it was an accident or not, whatever. It's kind of weird to me that the same player against the same team, a rookie on top of that, is taking pitches to the head. I'm sorry. You want to throw at their, maybe the back of their leg. You want to throw at their hip or whatever. Still, by the way, I can't believe we're even trying to normalize throwing a hard object at someone 100 miles an hour, which is the strangest thing in the world to me, Kev. But the fact that after that, the umpire had the audacity to go look at David Bell and says, we're giving your team a warning too. No. How do you my guy just took a pitch to the head, and you're going to come over and give us a warning? And that's what Bell snapped at. So I'll give him credit for that. I'm always finding reasons to dislike and hate on Bell, but he let that umpiring crew have it, and as he should. And those guys, and by the way, nothing ticks me off more than when you're screaming at the umpire and the umpires just sit there and take it. They don't show emotion. David Bell is trying everything he can to tick these guys off. Good for them for having that. They're just like, okay, we've ticked him off. We've done it now. I hate that rule, though. I don't know what else you could do to punish a team who, I think the team that started it to instigate the warning to both to both dugouts. I think India should get second. Who did I see that? It might have been Mo Egger or Lance McAllister. One of the two I saw over the weekend. I actually liked one. I can't remember who suggested it, but I really liked it. It was, I don't know what you do to fix this, but maybe, sometimes a mistake happens, yes, but I don't care. We're talking about, maybe you'll be paying a little bit more attention when you're talking about balls who are going high and inside to someone's head.
Right.
I think that if a warning is going to be given to both clubhouses, whoever instigated the warning to happen, you shouldn't give both teams the equal punishment. I think you should take two bases. I think if you get thrown at anywhere above the head, just like in basketball, it doesn't matter if you meant to foul him above the shoulders, it's a flagrant foul, right? And it's not fair, but that's smart, because now teams think about it a little more before they go reach above someone's shoulders to protect them. More times than not, no one's intending to throw at someone's head, but you know what? If you do, it should be an automatic two bases. I am tired of this whole entire thing of the Cardinals who just happen to accidentally throw high against the Reds, and it's always, I didn't mean to. Shouldn't have ate that popcorn. Shouldn't, whatever it is. Absolutely BS. I just think, honestly, something needs to change. I can't remember if it was Mo Egger or Lance McAllister or whoever suggested it. I really liked it, so I'm stealing it here, but I'm giving them the credit. I really like that. We have to stop, because in basketball, in targeting, I didn't mean to target. Well, it doesn't matter. It's still a harsh punishment. I didn't mean to target. I didn't mean to hit him above the shoulders, but you know what? That's fine. You're tossed out of the game. Which we know how drastic that is. That's too much.
Right.
But baseball needs to do something, because the Reds always seem to be the target of these pitchers who just don't seem to have control. And we're talking about good teams like the Cardinals, who do know how to coach their pitchers, manage their pitchers to the point where they're not throwing at someone's head. I have a hard time believing that all these teams just seem to slip on pitches against the Cincinnati Reds. I do think something needs to be done about that. But the fact that the Reds had the same punishment as the Cardinals is absolutely ridiculous.
You think they're trying to punk the Reds?
Yeah, but the Reds chirp a lot. That's going to be a part of it. But at the same time, it's more the rule that I have an issue with. I love that. I don't love that the Cardinals are throwing at Reds players' heads, but I love the chippiness. I love that there's a little, I love that there's angst between the two teams. The one thing I used to love about the NBA is you could feel the hatred between the teams. Now I hate it because everyone's too buddy-buddy. I don't want to get into that conversation, but that's just my preference. I like to feel that we're watching two teams who just don't like one another going head to head. Baseball has that. That's the one thing I like about baseball now is you don't notice the buddy-buddiness between everybody. You could tell that there is a dislike between both sides. I don't like guys having a hard object thrown at their head, though. That's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of teams out there that have that feeling. Obviously, everything that's going on with the Cardinals and the Reds, the Dodgers and the Padres have that. The White Sox and the Detroit Tigers, they have like a little something going on. Obviously, with Tim Anderson and his bat flips and everything like that. I saw an article come out. Your guy Trevor Bauer says he wants to see more bat flips. He encouraging the bat flips from the hitters, basically saying what you said. With pitchers, we get pumped up when we strike guys out. If you give up a hit, you give up a dinger, then they have every right in the world to celebrate. If you don't want to celebrate, strike them out.
Yeah, I'm always so hot and cold when it comes to Trevor Bauer, but I could not have agreed with him more when he came out and said that. And I love what's going on in baseball with that little rivalry right there. It's something I'm going to get into coming up later in the show about baseball starting to develop some things that has worked for the NBA, and it's starting with the Dodgers and now with the Padres, these super teams. Like, everyone thinks they hate super teams, but I think we need more super teams in Major League Baseball. There's too many average teams like the Reds and Pirates running around Major League Baseball. That's not good for the product. I like teams like that, which we'll talk about. But yeah, when it comes to that, like, I've always said that too, how soft pitchers can be. When a pitcher strikes you out in a big moment of a game, they're pumping their fist, they're reacting to the crowd, they're pointing up to Jesus above them. I mean, they're all into it, and that's allowed. After you struck a guy out, and you have to, you're not cautious about his feelings, but when a batter is supposed to be cautious of yours when you give up a dinger. I'm not a fan of that. I did agree with Trevor Bauer on that. But reaction to the Reds from over the weekend, again, 7 straight games. They were 9-6. They were feeling good. They had taken 2 or 3 from Cleveland. They felt good. And then they get swept at home. They lose the last game against Cleveland, and then they get swept at home against the Diamondbacks, and you get swept at St. Louis. We knew this was going to be a tougher stretch to close out the month of April, but there should be no sweeps, Kev. The only sweep that I predicted against the Reds was this Dodger series coming up. And they could potentially be swept for the 3rd straight series before returning home against a Cubs team who, regardless of whether they're good or bad, always seem to have the Reds number. This is just a very brutal stretch right now. 9-12 is their record. I projected them to be 14-11. That's not happening anymore. I was all cocky last week. I thought that they were trending in that direction. That is no longer the case. Nick on Facebook says, let's make more double switches. Here is one for you. Bell to the booth and Larkin in the manager role. First of all, David Bell in the manager. I mean, David Bell, what'd you think about that game? Well, I think that they played well. I think that they looked good. I think that, I thought, the pitching gave up 12 runs, but I thought the pitching was great tonight. Like, that's what he does, by the way. He is not very aware of, like, if the bullpen is bad in the night, Kev, he'll talk about, I like what we got out of our bullpen tonight. Oh, really? The bullpen that just gave up 7 runs. Oh, you like what you got? Okay. Or on a night where they only get 2 hits, Kev. Oh, I like the way we're swinging the bats right now. Really? You like the way they're swinging the bats right now? Like, he always seems to just focus in on something that they're actually not pitching well or doing well at. It drives me up the wall. Scott Campbell says any pitcher who hits a batter in the shoulders or above should be ejected, whether the pitch was on purpose or not. I think there has to be tiers to that. Like, I think that the rule is too drastic when it comes to college football with targeting. I think it's ridiculous that you toss a guy for targeting. I have no problem with the drastic penalty, 15 yards, 20, whatever it is. But I think the tossing is way too drastic. I think your suggestion, Scott's a little too drastic. I think that the first time you hit above the shoulders, that guy should get 2 bases. I think he should automatically get to second base because then it's like you're paying attention a little bit more. Like college football, even with that in place, you're still having targeting. Right. You're having targeting in the biggest games of the year. We've seen it in college football playoffs. Like, that's insane to me. You're going to have times where a pitcher slips. And but okay, that's fine. You get a slip, but the player is going to go to second. But if it happens again, you're tossed. So, Scott, I'm agreeing with you. I think a pitcher should be tossed. Why is it in baseball we act like it's no big deal? Kev, if I throw this pen at you as hard as I can, it's a pen. You're not going to die, but it's going to hurt. But if I throw a baseball at you as hard as I can, and I'm not even throwing 90 plus like those guys, that if I throw it at your head, I could do some damage. Yeah, like I just don't understand what we've normalized guys throwing a hard object at someone's head and just say, "Oh, it's part of baseball."
Quick story: in middle school, I was pretty good at baseball. Not really the whole hitting part, but like I could field, I could run the bases real well. And one of my best friends, Austin, he was like the star of the middle school baseball team, and like he convinced me and another one of our buddies to try out for the team. And like man, I've never played organized baseball before. It's like, dude, is the school team. It's not like the travel team. Like everybody's gonna make it. So I'm like, all right,
bad news bears.
Yeah, basically. So I go out there. I'm doing my thing. I'm learning the game as well as I'm out there. And then one time, they throw a pitch and it like goes like this, like by my face. And I'm like, I didn't show up the next day. And they're like, man, where'd you at, man? Why didn't you come to practice? I was like, man, I'm not playing that game, man. I'm not playing a game where they can throw a ball at your face and then expect you just to dust it off. Like, well, you play football. I was like, well, you have pads on in football. You have a helmet on in football. Like, you have like some type of protection. Ain't no protection from a ball. Like, I don't care how many pads you got on. You can be out there like Barry Bonds with that bionic arm all you want, man. That ball hits you in the right place, like in the ribs. You're done for, dude. Like, so that was the end of my baseball career in 7th grade.
You know, I have no problem admitting this. It's funny you bring that up. I loved baseball. I absolutely loved baseball. Basketball is always my favorite, but baseball, if I could pick, like, okay, outside of basketball, if I could pick one sport that I would have loved to have been really good at, baseball would have been it over football, just because I'm 5'5" in football. I mean, a really good 5'5" player in football, what? Punter, kicker. Yeah. So no, I would, but baseball, but I honestly have no problem admitting this. Every time I was literally dead terrified of when they would pitch. I have no problem admitting that. I've always been made fun of for it. I do not care. No matter how many times, like I would be so nervous, like waiting to go step into the box every time. But I loved fielding. You know what I mean? Like I had no problem with that. I was never terrified of someone hitting the ball at me really hard, but something about the pitcher throwing the ball towards me, I would always get nervous about that. I don't know why. It drives me nuts. So there's that. Yeah, that's why I'm bad at baseball, by the way. That and, just being super unathletic and everything else that, you need to be there. Yeah. Vincent Waller says, spot on, Justin. Pitchers are hypocrites. They can celebrate a strikeout, but God forbid a hitter celebrates a homer. No, and that's what we've been trying to point out for years is that everyone's like, oh, you can't do a bat flip. You can't show motion. You can't show up the pitcher. Well, okay. Like, let's say the rule was the pitchers can't show up the hitters either. I wouldn't like that, but at least it would be equal on both sides. But what's always driven me nuts about this is the fact that pitchers can, pump their chest. They can point up at the sky. They can go fist bump their, teammates, chest bump their teammates. They could do all this, and that's great. But my goodness, if a guy hits a walk-off homer in the bottom of the ninth and they bat flip and they're cheering too much, oh, you bet we're going to get you back next game. They'll throw at that guy the next game. And you're like, well, what was that for? Well, you remember when you celebrated after hitting a walk-off home run to win your team the game? The thing that kids dream of, as a kid. You ever dream of being up in the bottom of the ninth inning or the last inning to win your team? You win your team the game. Basketball. Imagine in basketball, if the rule was, hey, if you hit a game-winning shot, you just have to walk off the court without, cheering. I think Dame does that from time to time. Dame's the only guy I know that can hit a game winner and not smile. Like Dame's just, yeah, and he hits a lot of game. It's Dame time a lot. And every time he hits a game winner, I'm like, oh, here we go, Kev. Oh. Every time, but I can't deny the guy's freaking.
He hasn't hit one in about a month. And
he sucks. I've been telling you.
And the team's on a 5-game losing streak, so he needs to figure it out and start hitting some game winners because he's missed his last 2. Shouts out to Dane Dollar.
So they're the equivalent to the Reds in the NBA right now. Yeah, but yeah, Vince. Yeah, so we've been saying that, but Trevor Bauer, give him credit, who I'm not a big fan of at times, came out and said that because people asked him afterwards. Tatis was making fun of it because I guess during spring training, Trevor Bauer was like pitching with one eye closed.
Yeah.
And he was doing it. They asked him about it. He goes, oh, I just look at it as a challenge, which, by the way, I should like that he said that, but because it's Bauer, he drives me nuts. But it was funnier than hell. It's like Michael Jordan. I'm going to shoot this free throw with my eyes closed. Man, screw you. Trevor Bauer's throwing a 100-mile-per-hour ball at someone, and he does it with one eye. So Tatis, after hitting that home run, is running around the bases holding one eye. And everyone was waiting for Bauer to talk smack after. And to Bauer's credit, he goes, no, I love that. I love that I'm toying with these guys, and they're giving it back. He goes, baseball needs that. And I could not agree more about that. And I think it's cool that, I give him credit for not being a hypocrite. Because he could have gone in the post game, you know what I mean, and said, "Man, we don't need that. That is disrespect." No, he's like,
Bush
cool.
League.
He said, "Cool, I like that." And I do think when you toy with him, though, it fuels him.
Absolutely.
That Michael Jordan meme that goes around, and I took it personal.
Yeah,
that's the stuff I'm talking about right there. All right, we'll step away for a few moments. It's the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers and Orion Sports Medicine. I hope everyone's had a great weekend, and you've had a great Monday. We still have a lot to get into. It's NFL Draft Week, and I tell you what, I love the NFL Draft, but I'm sick of the NFL Draft. I'm over the NFL Draft. When we come back, I'm going to tell you my 3 most annoying NFL Draft narratives that I wish we could just debunk and get rid of. I'm so sick of it. It's not just this draft. It's every draft. These are the 3 narratives, every draft, that I just want to scream every time I hear. We're going to talk about that on the other side. Give us a call, 457-9464. More of the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash when we come back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mainly clear, a high around 75. Tonight will be mostly clear, a low near 55. And tomorrow's going to be partly cloudy, a high around 83. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Seal Coating, protecting the asphalt surfaces around your home, office, or commercial property. Crack filling, asphalt sealing, and parking lot striping. Find us at culletsealcoating.com.
Hoffman Turf wants to enhance your property. Hoffman Turf, a locally owned company in Beaver Creek, offers professional lawn care, landscape maintenance, and weed and pest control. We understand your lawn is your investment and strive to give you the most value for your hard-earned money. Let us help you achieve a beautiful, thick, green lawn. Sign up today for fertilization and weed control and save 50% off the first application and 5% off the entire season when you prepay. Schedule today online at hoffmanturf.com. Hoffman Turf, professional, dependable, affordable.
Are you looking for a quick and delicious home-style meal your entire family will love? At Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, home-style happens here with a 10-piece breast strip meal for only $19.99. Feed your family famously with 10 all-white meat breast strips cooked golden brown to perfection with 2 large sides and 5 fluffy biscuits. This home-style family meal is what cravings are made of. Get a home-style meal made easy with our 10-piece breast strip meal for only $19.99. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
John,
Clay's Cleaning Service has a spotless reputation.
Take care of the windows. Hello, this is Clay.
But his business operations could use a light dusting.
I had you scheduled for next week. I'll just check here. No, absolutely. We will be there tomorrow.
Indeed can help him hire the people he needs.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Research shows that people remember radio ads with repetition. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, here's a repetitive ad. Okay. Research shows that people remember radio ads with repetition. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, here's a repetitive ad. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
To all you do-it-yourselfers, get ready to welcome Fram into the fam. Because America's #1 oil filter brand now has their own new line of motor oil and fluids. And it's only at Advance and CarQuest Auto Parts. Stop into Advance and choose from 4 new Fram oil change bundles starting at just $20.99. They have the oil and filters you need to keep your engine running stronger, longer. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
If you're not already following the official Reds accounts on social media, you should be. Get breaking news, game day information, and exclusive behind-the-scenes coverage. Follow @Reds on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Plus, sign up today for the official newsletter of the Cincinnati Reds and never miss a beat. Visit Reds.com. That's Reds.com.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but thought it would be too difficult? Then try Babbel. Babbel starts by teaching you words and phrases that gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations. So in 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking a new language in a few weeks. Babbel is built around real life. It teaches you practical conversations that you will actually use. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com today. That's BABBEL.com.
Save big money on your next project with 11% off everything now at Menards. Landscape now and enjoy all summer with our great selection of landscape blocks. Whether it's a spacious patio, a decorative walkway, or flawless landscaping, you'll find the perfect blocks for your project. Save 11% on all concrete landscape and patio blocks. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through May 1st. Savings are mail-in rebates. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
It's all about the nose. It's your air filter, the first line of defense against bacteria and viruses. If too many germs get stuck in your nose, guess what? You get sick. That's why it's so important to keep your nose clean, just like washing your hands. Nasal irrigation gets rid of germs by rinsing the nasal cavity, but neti pots are hard to use and, frankly, kind of gross. Now there's a better way to keep your nose clean and help your body protect itself. It's called Navage Nasal Care. Navage uses powered suction to flush out allergens, mucus, bacteria, and viruses. Millions use Navage for fast, all-natural relief from sinus congestion and allergies, and to breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and feel healthier without drugs. Navage is easy to use, affordable, and comes with an absolute guarantee of satisfaction. You wash your hands and brush your teeth every day. Now it's time to start cleaning your nose with Navage. At Navage.com, CVS, Walgreens, Bed Bath, Target, and Rite Aid. Navage. Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
Remember, customize and save with Liberty Mutual Insurance Company. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
The Reds are on the radio.
Every hit, every strikeout, every Reds victory. You can catch all of the action all season long right here on Dayton's home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
There it is, the NFL draft chime. I promise you, I can't wait. I love this week, but I'm like, here's the weird thing to say. I guess the only other time I feel this way, Kev, is Christmas, where I'm excited for Christmas, but man, I can't wait for Christmas to get over with because I'm tired of getting all the gifts and making sure we have enough for everybody. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. And that's how I feel with the draft. I can't wait for the draft, but I also can't wait for it to hurry up and get over with. Like, can you think of any other thing in life like that where can't wait for it to get here? I guess I have a big wedding coming up here in a year, and I'm probably going to get to the point where I can't wait for the wedding, and I can't wait for the wedding to get over with because we're not stressed with it now, but everyone tells us, hey, it's going to be a sprint to the finish line once you get there to the bottom. Oh, look, I accidentally hit this thing and it has Joe Burrow's knee right there. Oh, goodness. I didn't even mean to do that. My bad. I really didn't, but I'll get blamed for it. That's just how it works. I really didn't mean to do that, but it is what it is. But no, that's how I feel about the draft. I think everyone's so sick of hearing about it. I'm hearing these other radio shows and sports talk shows about here's why Kellen Mond should be now drafted. The Jets should look to take Kellen Mond now. And I'm like, that topic right there, that's because you've exhausted every other topic that's out there, and now you're just got to make stuff up just to try and act like you really believe it. It's tough. It really is. But around this time every year, we get just bombarded with all of these draft narratives and all of these talking heads that go and they crack the mics or they hit the TV airwaves and they're just like, oh, this, and this is why you can't draft this guy. Or this is why you have to draft this guy. And really, when it's all said and done, if you go back and take everyone's hot takes leading into the draft and match it up with what actually happens or how it actually pans out, like player-wise, we all don't know what the hell we're talking about. We all don't know what we're talking about. The first one, again, I have three narratives that are used in every year's NFL draft. Every NFL draft, the talking heads, when you combined all of the talk that's out there are these three common narratives that I really hate and I cannot stand, Kev. They drive me up the wall, and I would do anything to never hear these phrases again when it comes to the NFL draft, because that's what's so bad about this. So the first one, the first narrative when it comes to the NFL draft that I hate more than anything is, well, I don't know about this quarterback. He doesn't play well under pressure. That drives me nuts. Because for one, the one thing is this is too, as a organization, unless you're the Bengals, your goal should be to make sure that your quarterback is not being faced with a lot of pressure. Of course, talking about defensive pressure, right? Your goal should be to have an offensive line that your quarterback is not constantly going to be faced with pressure in their face. And if you're going to say, I don't want to draft this quarterback because he doesn't play the position well, under pressure, then you as an organization have to do your best to make sure that he is not under pressure. And you also have to ask yourself, well, we plan on, if he's here for 12 years, to make sure that we protect him every year. But realistically, if he has 3 seasons where our offensive line is not zippered up, we can get through the season, with that. But you're not going to take a quarterback because maybe 3 seasons you don't have a good offensive line. Like, that's what I hate that. No quarterback plays well under pressure. Justin Fields doesn't play well with the blitz and with the pressure coming out of who does? Did you watch the Super Bowl? Did you watch how Patrick Mahomes looked horrible with pressure in his face, and he still found a way to maximize his time on the field? Don't get me wrong, but I hate that. Patrick Mahomes, the god of all quarterbacks, looked very pedestrian when pressure was coming at him. I hate that narrative, Kev. Oh, doesn't play well under pressure.
I agree 100%, man. That's the thing that everybody's talking about with Justin Fields and everything like that. And obviously the tape from Northwestern and the tape from Indiana. Those are the 2 that they show. But you know what? There's a lot of other film out there that shows them under pressure making good decisions as well. Think about the Clemson game and everything like that. So I'm just a fan of looking at the full body of work as opposed to just one segment of the tape. You find your things that you don't like and they just harp on it constantly. Well, yes, 100% true. It's up to the organization to draft offensive linemen and everything like that to protect the quarterback and everything like that, for sure. But the quarterback is also going to be put in positions where, nothing that the offensive line can do about it. Like, he's going to be under pressure. This just happens. It's football. But it's up to the coaches to coach them up. And I get sick of the narrative of that these guys are a finished product. They're not a finished product. Like, they're young quarterbacks. They're young players in the NFL. They're taking a step up from college to the NFL. Coaches, coordinators, do your job. Coach these guys up. Stop putting these guys into positions that they can't succeed. I talk about it all the time with Mitchell Trubisky. They wanted him to turn into Joe Montana and be a pinpoint accurate quarterback doing 3-step drops and all that type of stuff. That didn't work for him. That doesn't work for him. When he's on the move, he's a better quarterback. And he's now the backup in Buffalo where they put their quarterback on the move. So he's going to a system, granted he's going to be the backup, but he's going to a system that suits him the best. And when the Bears were winning football games, they had him on the move. When they stopped having him on the move, they started losing games and they benched him. And then when they looked like they were going to lose their job, they put him back in the game and had him on the move. And boom, they make the playoffs. So I get sick of the whole situation of they want these young players to come into the league and play the position the way that they want them to. No, you draft the talent. Now make sure you're using their talent to the full capabilities of them. Don't make them play your game. Have them play their game to the best of their ability.
No, I'm with you, but I will say this. The guys that are hurting the sport are guys like Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and others who come in and play as that. Because then when teams see, oh, man, we need our Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
We need our Lamar Jackson.
But you see what the Ravens did? They didn't have Lamar Jackson doing things that Joe Flacco did. They had him doing things that he does well.
Yeah, and like even Dak Prescott, the guy that comes in and just plays the position at such a high level. But these guys are good enough to do that, but to sit there and expect them to be MVPs in year one, you can't do that. But these guys are good enough to come in and win you games.
Oh, yeah.
But it's tough, though. There's a reason you're drafting at the top. But again, if you're just tuning in, it's NFL draft week, and we're all exhausted with the same over and over draft narratives. And right now we are giving it's my 3 least favorite NFL draft narratives that drive me absolutely crazy. The first one I just gave you, quarterbacks. Oh, Justin Fields, he doesn't play well under pressure. Name a quarterback that does. And you probably can find a quarterback that actually completes a pretty good amount of passes under pressure. That you're over dissecting that. You should never plan on having I want to draft a quarterback that plays well and plays well under pressure so that we don't have to draft an offensive line or so that we don't have to field a good offensive line. That's so crazy to me. Your goal as an organization should be, well, he's not good under pressure, but if we do our jobs, he'll never be under pressure because we'll make sure our offensive line is good. That's just common sense. I know around here that's kind of lax when it comes to following football teams, but I'm just saying, like, that should be the mindset. The second narrative that I cannot stand is this one. And again, Justin Fields falls in 2 of these, but that just happens to be how it is this year. But I feel this way every year. We always overreact to quarterbacks who drop in the draft. Dwayne Haskins. I can't believe he dropped in the draft. Everyone was so tired, furious about the Giants taking Daniel Jones from Duke over Dwayne Haskins at number 6. And we're doing it with Justin Fields. How can he drop? Once he gets drafted, we are not even going to remember that he dropped. We don't even care that he dropped. For instance, Russell Wilson was the 75th overall pick. Do we care where he was picked? Does it matter? All we care about every year when we talk about Russell Wilson, we talk about how great he is, how great of a story he is. That's all that matters. Did where he gets picked change the trajectory of his career? You could argue that the team he ended up with technically matters, but overall, where you drop to as far as the number pick, I don't care about that. And like, for instance, Trevor Lawrence going number 1 overall. If he ends up not working out because he goes to a crap organization like Jacksonville, but Kellen Mond ends up with the Patriots in the 2nd or 3rd round and it actually ends up being a Pro Bowl, Super Bowl winning quarterback, right? Would you rather be Trevor Lawrence number 1 overall or the guy taken, rounds later? I do not care. The narrative that I hate more than anything is, I can't believe he's dropping. Justin Fields, can you believe who cares? Because if Justin Fields ends up, and I'm looking at this, this draft order now, if you keep dropping back to number 8, if he falls to number 8, Carolina, they have a good coach, they have a good coaching staff, they have a good direction that they're going in. That could be the best case scenario for him. What about Denver at 9? But you guys would rather him go number 2 to the Jets and have his whole entire career destroyed before it even begins? Folks, as fans, you have to calm down. It doesn't matter. I know we like to pump our chest. We're Buckeyes, and he went number 2. I don't care. Actually, every time a team passes on him, it's actually better for Justin Fields because I feel like the teams that need quarterback, like teams like Denver, they're closer to being a finished project than the Jets, than Jacksonville. Justin Fields can win right away in Denver. He can win right away. If let's say Philadelphia, which they won't, you're not going to win right away in Philadelphia, but they're an organization you trust to get it, figured out quicker. What if Minnesota decides to take him at 14 or the Patriots trade up to take him at number 10? You should be happy that Justin Fields drops. I'm just tired of this narrative as if the sky is falling because he's dropping. Do you guys, when you look at the fact that Patrick Mahomes goes number 10 overall, are we still losing sleep at night saying, I can't believe Patrick Mahomes dropped to number 10? Bengals fans are probably pretty angry at themselves because their organization didn't take him, but a lot of teams passed on him. That's the point. You just don't know. So 2 of my 3 narratives that I hate, and I'll let you go next, Kev. I hate quarterback, he doesn't play well under pressure. No quarterback does. You shouldn't plan on your quarterback playing under pressure. You should draft a quarterback for what he can do, not what he can't do, because there was a lot that Lamar Jackson couldn't do. And to your point, Kev, the Ravens built their entire offense around him. They've won a ton of games. They've made the playoffs every year that he's been there. Oh, yeah, he's won an MVP. They've won a playoff game. Like, the Ravens did what you're supposed to do, and that is build around your player. They could have said, no, we don't want him because he doesn't do X, Y, and Z. Instead, they drafted him and said, oh, man, he has a skill set that nobody else in this draft has, and look at how well that's worked out for them. My second narrative I hate is, I can't believe he's dropping. Justin Fields, he's dropping. Let him drop. Let him drop to a better organization. Let him drop to a better situation. If he drops, let's say, to number 15 to the Patriots, are you saying that you will not be happy for him moving forward because you wanted him to go have his career ruined with the Jets at number 2? Even if he went number 1 overall to the Jaguars, I don't care if Urban Meyer's there. It's the Jaguars. They would probably ruin his career as well. So we have to stop with these narratives that really don't mean anything, because Patrick Mahomes is fine. Russell Wilson is fine. Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, these guys are all fine, and they weren't picked in the top 10. Some of these guys weren't even picked in the first round. Right. And look at how good they are. So those 2 narratives drive me nuts. I'll get to my third most hated narrative in a moment. Your reaction to that?
I feel you, and I totally understand where you're coming from, because these guys out here with these minds that talk on TV and everything like that, I truly believe that they just run out of stuff to say. And then they lean back on those crutch arguments that we get in the barbershop that they've been talking about all year long. And it's a long time between the end of the NFL season and the draft. It's February to April. There's a lot of days between the weeks to talk about the NFL draft. And I just think that they just start recycling things that they say, and they're just sick of it, just like we are. We're going to be talking about the NFL draft, but I'll be more excited on Friday and on Monday when the NFL draft is over, because we'll actually have tangible evidence about where guys are going. We're going to stop playing the what if game, and we'll actually have people in place to see where they're going to go and start talking about what they could potentially do on the field for that team, because outside of the first 2 picks, it's wide open. So it's all a guessing game. And after a while, to be perfectly honest, I'm cool on the guessing game. After like the first mock draft, like I kind of like check out because I know how this is going to go. It's going to go ebbs and flows. They're going to say they love this guy. Now they love this guy. Now they don't love this guy. I mean, we see it with the San Francisco 49ers. They traded all the way up to number 3. And first everybody was talking about that they were up there to take Mac Jones. And then everybody realized, they're like, why would they drive it all the way up there to draft Mac Jones when Mac Jones was projected to be at the back end of the draft where they were, so they could have just sat there. And then they talked about, well, maybe it's Justin Fields, maybe it's Trey Lance. And then Mac Jones jumped back up there, and now it's back to Mac Jones and Trey Lance. So it's just a hopscotch game. I'm sick of it. I'm ready to see what happens on Thursday. That's more exciting than the what ifs to me.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash hanging out with you here on a Monday. We're giving you our most hated NFL draft narratives. I feel like we've been talking about this draft since honestly when the season was still going on. We were already starting the Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson conversation. That was already going on. So we're all tired of it. We're sick of it. But here are the narratives that I hate more than anything when it comes to talking about not just this draft, but all drafts. And Justin Fields falls into a couple of these narratives that I hate because they're not always as bad as what you think. You know, as Buckeye fans, we want our guys to be drafted high so we could brag and say, yeah, look at all them Buckeyes going high in the draft. It really doesn't matter because I would rather brag about the Buckeyes who are playing at a high level on Sundays more than bragging about where the Buckeyes ended up being picked in the NFL draft. Getting there is all that matters. So my top 2 worst NFL draft narratives that I hate more than anything that we've touched on already, Kev, quarterbacks don't play well under pressure. No quarterback does. Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl was a prime example of that. It doesn't make him not a good quarterback. So based on that, should the Chiefs cut him? Should they get rid of him? Get rid of him. Here's your $500 million and go take it elsewhere, you bum, because you don't know how to play under pressure. That is the stupidest reason if that really is why Justin Fields is dropping, and that's what you keep hearing. Absolutely ridiculous. The second narrative that I hate is I can't believe he's dropping. Justin Fields, he should be a top 3 pick. You look at those top 3. I mean, the 49ers, the 49ers is a great situation, but they're not the real number 3 because they had to trade up to get it. But like I said, Justin Fields going number 2 to the Jets. The Buckeye fans, your egos, would you feel better about Justin Fields going number 2 to the Jets and having his career ruined just so you could pump your chest and say, look, we had a quarterback go number 2 overall? Or would you rather him drop, end up with a team like Denver or a team like the Patriots or a team like that who are good organizations who you can trust that they're going to do the right thing and put him in position to succeed? I just don't understand why we make so much of where they're dropping to. It's just like an ego thing within these fan bases that just want to brag about where they end up. We talked about it. Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, all these guys, they weren't top 10 picks. Some of those guys weren't even first round picks. I don't care. And now here's the one I hate the most, Kev. My number 1 narrative. I hate this more than anything. And it's not just in the NFL draft, it's in the NBA. You always hear this phrase all the time. Man, Mac Jones, you got to draft him because he's a winner. The he's a winner line ticks me off more than anything. Let's be clear. I'm 5'5", chubby, non-athletic, talking about football because I wasn't good enough to play football, okay? I wasn't good enough to play football. I couldn't play basketball. I couldn't play baseball. I tried my little heart out, but I couldn't do it. I wasn't very good. That's the thing about these elite talents. If you are being drafted, if you are drafted in the first round, number 1 overall, Trevor Lawrence, number 1 overall, and the last guy picked in the 7th round, Kev, that's a winner too. Whoever is selected in that last pick of the 7th round or 8th round, whatever rounds there are, that kid is just as much of a winner as Trevor Lawrence because you're drafted. The guys that were hoping to be drafted, who were good enough to potentially be drafted that don't get drafted, those guys are also winners. Every time you watch a college football game, winners all over the field, except for Tate Martell. Winners all over the field. These guys are all so great. That's the whole point of this is I hate when people say that. How about this? What makes a winner? Are we talking about like AJ McCarron? Someone just messaged in about AJ McCarron. Yes, Justin Nickel, you're right. AJ McCarron is a winner. What makes a winner? Right. Is it the program you go play at? I mean, like I saw this list that came out on Facebook the other day. It was like Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was 48-7 in college. He's a winner. How did that work out in the NFL? No, it wasn't terrible. Your Steelers provided him a playoff win, just like they did Baker. Congratulations. How about Vince Young? Trevor Lawrence has only lost 2 games his entire football career in college. He won a national championship. His only 2 losses, Kev, Ohio State and LSU. I'd say that's pretty dang good, right? Mm-hmm. He's only lost 2 games. Vince Young was 30-2. He's what you would be considered a winner. Yeah. He had a decent career, but I mean, how'd that work out, right? AJ McCarron, who Justin brought up on Facebook. 36-3 in college. How'd that work out? He couldn't even beat out Andy Dalton. Okay, and then he was, and then Kellen Moore at, Boise State, 50-3. He's a winner. He was 0-2 in the NFL. Here are guys who you would consider losers. How about Patrick Mahomes, Kev? Did you know he was under 500?
13-19.
Yeah, he was under 500 in college. How about Russell Wilson? He only won 2 more games than he lost. He won 19, lost 17. I think he's doing pretty well. And how about John Elway? He actually lost 23 games. He only won 20. He did tie once. I think he had a pretty good career.
Absolutely.
So this mindset of, he's a winner. That's why you draft him. Shove it. Justin Fields is a winner. They're all winners. That's not why they're going to succeed. They're winners because we're talking about them. So that's a narrative we need to get rid of. All of these guys are winners. If you're selected in the 5th round, you're a winner. I hate that mindset. The win-loss record means nothing, and I'm just tired of that. Oh, he went to Alabama, so he's a winner. Well, whatever, man. So the 3 narratives I hate, Kev. Quarterbacks who don't play well under pressure. No quarterback plays well under pressure. I can't believe he's dropping. It's a narrative on draft night only. It means nothing and has zero impact on the career of these guys. If you're good enough to make it, you're going to make it. And then my least favorite narrative of the draft, he's a winner. Mac Jones, the Niners traded up to get him because he's a winner. Stop. Yes, he's had a great college football career, but there's been no stats at all that show that winning in college means you're going to win in the NFL. The best college football quarterbacks of all time haven't made it and been able to cut it in the NFL. That means nothing to me.
Fun fact, my favorite quarterback of all time is John Elway. Anyway, even though I can't stand him as a person, but he's my favorite quarterback of all time. If I had a quarterback to lead my team back or to take the reins in a must-win game, it would be John Elway. But anyway, that's
real quick. I got called a winner. Brady said, "You're a winner, Kenner." See what I did there? I don't know if that was an insult, but anytime someone calls me a winner, I'll take it. Shout out to Brady. Continue.
So it's funny you bring that up because, like we said, we bounce ideas off each other all the time. I tweeted this way back on April 17th. Does a quarterback's win-loss record and stats really matter in the draft evaluation process? Because I felt the exact same way. Like, I kept hearing, like, he's a winner, and look how many stats he's put up versus these teams and all this type of stuff in college. And it's just like, it's not that. It's the evaluation process. It's projecting what you're going to do moving forward, not necessarily what you've done in your past. Yeah, because if you play at Alabama, you play at Ohio State, there have been situations where guys have been cogs in the wheel and put up just as good numbers. And the same way that I feel about Mac Jones is the exact same way I felt about Tua. I don't know if it's you or it's all the guys at Alabama, because they're going to have a ton of receivers going in the first round. They have a ton of defensive players going in the first round, a ton of offensive linemen going in the first round. I don't know if it's you or it's the Alabama way that they stockpile a ton of talent. I look at it the same way as Ken Dorsey. Ken Dorsey was the general of the team, and he had a great college career. And he played in the NFL for quite a while too, played with the Browns and everything like that. But, it's got to be a lot easier when you have Clinton Portis, Willis McGahee, Andre Johnson, Kellen Winslow. You got all these superstar guys around you. I don't know if it's you or the talent around you that's producing. And I can, honestly, I can say the same thing about Justin Fields. I mean, we all think that Olave and Garrett Wilson will play in the NFL one day. So I just look at it as an aspect of people need to do the whole evaluation of the prospect, what they're going to be doing in the future, as opposed to steadily harping on like, oh man, he threw 50 touchdowns, he threw 3 interceptions. Well, let's remove all the bad game with all the bad teams, and let's just strictly focus on like-minded competition. So in that case, let's look at Justin Fields versus his 2 games versus Clemson. Let's look at those games, because those are the type of
he
talent.
lost one.
Yeah, but he balled out in another one. So let's also look at Trevor Lawrence, his games versus Ohio State. If you take Trevor Lawrence's 2 games versus Ohio State, and then you take Justin Fields' 2 games against Clemson, Justin Fields outplayed him. Like, if you just do that, if you just want to play that game, I don't want to play that game because I think it's stupid. But I'm saying if you just take those 2 games, you line up your stats. Line up your stats. Justin Fields outplayed him.
But see, you can argue too.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's why I'm saying, like, these whole stats and win losses is stupid. Look at the whole body of work and evaluate them what they're going to project to become. Don't just harp on like, oh, this is what they did in college and now they're about to become this great player, because they look at what Josh Allen did when he was at Wyoming. He was horrible stat wise. I believe he was under like 55% completion percentage at Wyoming. He was terrible. But they projected him to be a pro level quarterback. And during this past season, he showed and proved that. So I think that not only these networks, talking heads, us as fans have to kind of like push what these guys do in college, especially at the quarterback position, to the side. Like, I know it could be a tool, but don't so that it to be the be all end all. That's all I'm saying.
No, I'm with you. And another narrative too. I know what you're saying about the who outplayed who, but like, I don't like the head-to-head quarterback matchup. Like in basketball, you're guarding each other, you're defending each other. You can use that more so than in football, where quarterbacks Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, they don't even pass each other on the field at all. But no, I definitely see what you're saying. But those are our narratives right there. We'll recap those later on in the show. But I'm so sick of all the draft coverage and talk. I'm done with the mock drafts. I'm done with.
They're gonna have one more before the draft come out.
So, absolutely, it's our last minute mock draft. Ann Anderson, shout out to Ann. She says, please let Justin Fields drop to the Broncos. You are absolutely right. Who cares how far he drops, as long as he drops to a decent team who could develop him much better than falling with the Jets. And yeah, that's been my argument from the beginning, mainly because Buckeye fans, what's going to make you happier? Because Buckeye fans, you get way caught up in your feelings. And it's like you would rather him go number 2 to the Jets to brag about our guy went number 2 than you would stomach him dropping to a team like the Patriots or the Broncos, where he is going to be a bragging piece every Sunday. I would rather have Justin Fields to brag about every Sunday for the next 10 years during the NFL season than for one night about how high he was drafted and then he ends up being a bust because he ends up with the Jets. That is where I come at it with that. And now who's to say he can't go to the Jets and lead them to the promised land? But there's not a lot of examples in the last 15, 20 years, Kev, of guys who go to these bad organizations and turn them around. Baker might be as close as what it gets. I'm just saying. Outside of that, who else, Kev? Like we did that thing like any quarterback since the last 15 years that's been drafted in the top 5. Matt Ryan, Baker Mayfield. There's only 2 quarterbacks still with their team that drafted him in the top 5. That's what's crazy to me. So it is what it is. But Ann Anderson said the money is the same and that second contract will be so much better if he is succeeding. You're right. Is it the same? Where's the cutoff? Like, what's the draft? What's the draft dollars? Where's the cutoff for that?
I think like every 5 picks is like a money cut. I think it's like every 5 picks is like almost $500,000.
So, but from that, but again, you got to look at it as a sacrifice. Hey, would you if you're Justin Fields, do you want to pump your chest and brag on Thursday night that you went number 2 to the Jets and get more money out of the pot there being drafted high, or make less money, end up with the Broncos or the Patriots later in the draft and actually have a long, fruitful career? And you know what I mean? Like, I just think that we get too caught up in the now when we don't think big picture. Do we even remember that Patrick Mahomes was 10th? Like, it gets brought up from time to time for a talking point, right? But it's not a main featured piece in anything. So outside, it's like Dwayne Haskins. We forget that he dropped to 15th. The only thing we know now is, he was a bust with with Washington, whatever the hell they are now. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're at with that. Those narratives just drive me nuts, and we're just a few days away from not having to hear those at least for another couple of months. So there you go. It's the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash. Hour 1 in the books. Want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Kirkland and Sommers and Orion Sports Medicine. Appreciate them being sponsors of the show. Hour 1 in the books. Hour 2 coming up. We'll talk about Major League Baseball right now is doing something that I really, really like and really enjoy, and it's something that the NBA was doing and having success with. We're going to talk about the differences in both coming up around the corner, plus the Cleveland Browns, Baker Mayfield, they exercise the 5th-year option. What does that mean? We'll get to all of that in hour 2. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hi, my name is Brian Sommers, and I'm an attorney with Kirkland and Sommers. We are a law firm dedicated to divorce and family law. We have 2 locations serving Miami Valley, one near Austin Landing and the other in Troy. Remember, we're not part-time divorce and family lawyers. We're full-time here for you.
Kirkland and Sommers, trusted and experienced, a family law practice dedicated to serving you. Visit them online at kirklandandsummers.com. That's Summers with an O, kirklandandsummers.com.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring owner, operator, and fleet owners. Dedicated home daily round trip lanes. That's right, round trip, get paid for all miles, 100% no touch freight. Cordell is offering great pay, a discounted fuel program, and free on-site truck parking, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus per truck. Take advantage of the dedicated round trip miles, sign-on bonus, and home every day or every other day. Go online to CordellTransportation.com to apply today. Cordell Transportation. Driven to succeed.
During this unprecedented time of worldwide economic challenge, it's so important for you to keep a close eye on your retirement and be ready to take the steps necessary to protect your money. Having a portion of your IRA or 401k backed by physical gold and silver offers Americans the diversification needed to hedge against economic volatility and potential turmoil. When the financial markets plummet again, savvy retirement savers will be those with the foresight to safeguard with genuine stores of value, like physical gold and silver, which in the past have soared during periods of misery for the rest of the economy. Diversify your hard-earned savings today by calling Birch Gold Group at 800-899-4635 and get their free information kit to teach you how precious metals can protect your family's financial future. Birch Gold is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and has thousands of satisfied customers. Call them 800-899-4635. That's 800-899-4635.
It's time for some straight talk. Sure, saving money feels good, but cutting your wireless bill in half, that feels really good. Like walk-off home run in the 9th inning kind of good. Okay, maybe not that good, but pretty darn good. With Straight Talk, you can get 25 gigs of high-speed data for $45 a month, up to 50% less than the other guys. Plus, no contract. All on America's best networks. Why pay a whole lot when you could pay half? Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Goodyear knows the importance of keeping momentum as you head down the stretch. Momentum starts with movement. It's pulled from the air like a contested rebound. Momentum builds with steals and fast breaks, and is proven by deep threes as the shot clock expires. Momentum is how we change the game, and now it's time to discover where it can take us. Goodyear, more driven.
Just like your favorite hometown baseball team, your Enterprise Roofing team is all about protecting home. We've been locally owned and operated since 1926. So for high quality roofing repair and replacement services you can count on down the stretch, call 937-240-2206 or visit roofup.com today. Enterprise Roofing is a proud supporter of the Cincinnati Reds.
At Napa, we keep things moving. If it has wheels and an engine, we help keep it on the road. And if it's on the road, we have parts for it. And if you need a part, you can get it fast, like same-day pickup or next-day delivery fast. At Napa, when we're not thinking about cars, we're thinking about the people who drive them. Because when it comes to serving you and our community, our motor never quits. That's Napa know-how. Same-day pickup and next-day delivery available at participating stores and on in-stock items only.
When it comes to starting your morning off right, Wendy's is always the best choice. And now that our sweet and savory honey butter chicken biscuit is only $1.99, you have no excuse to get your breakfast anywhere else. It's freshly prepared with sweet honey butter and all white meat chicken on a flaky biscuit. It's never been easier to steer clear of bad breakfast. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's and get the breakfast you deserve. The $1.99 honey butter chicken biscuit.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours. A la carte only. Not valid in a combo.
Whether it's next day delivery or getting involved in their local communities, Napa goes above and beyond to serve you because their motor never quits. That's Napa know-how.
You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, The Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER, and ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Ready for renovations? Arts Rental Equipment has the tools you need to make your home, lawn, and garden stand out this year. From brush chippers to cutoff saws, no job is too small or too big. Visit your local Arts store today. Work smart. Rent from Arts.
Goodyear knows the importance of keeping momentum as you head down the stretch. Momentum starts with movement. It's pulled from the air like a contested rebound. Momentum builds with steals and fast breaks, and is proven by deep threes as the shot clock expires. Momentum is how we change the game, and now it's time to discover where it can take us. Goodyear, more driven. It's time for some straight talk. Sure, saving money feels good, but cutting your wireless bill in half, that feels really good. Like walk-off home run in the ninth inning kind of good. Okay, maybe not that good, but pretty darn good. With Straight Talk, you can get 25 gigs of high-speed data for $45 a month, up to 50% less than the other guys. Plus, no contract. All on America's best networks. Why pay a whole lot when you could pay half? Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
To all you do-it-yourselfers, get ready to welcome Fram into the fam. Because America's #1 oil filter brand now has their own new line of motor oil and fluids. And it's only at Advance and CarQuest Auto Parts. Stop into Advance and choose from 4 new Fram oil change bundles starting at just $20.99. They have the oil and filters you need to keep your engine running stronger, longer. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Ahoy! Ahoy! Yoo-hoo! Ahoy! 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 Ahoy there! Ahoy! 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 In the name of the great Neptune! Ahoy!
The tides can turn quick on the water. Progressive's boat insurance has you covered with basic plans starting at $100 a year. Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance. Annual premium for a basic liability policy not available in all states. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Do you have a home improvement project? Use the right tool for the job and rent from Arts Rental Equipment. Arts has the best selection from power washers and ladders to loaders and dump trailers. Work smart. Rent from Arts.
Whether it's next day delivery or getting involved in their local communities, Napa goes above and beyond to serve you because their motor never quits. That's Napa know-how.
The Reds are on the radio.
Every hit, every strikeout, every Reds victory. You can catch all of the action all season long right here on Dayton's home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's live, it's local, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers.
All right, hour number 2. We welcome you in. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers and Orion Sports Medicine. Cleveland Browns general manager Andrew Berry says that the Browns feel pretty good about where they are at when it comes to the defensive tackle position heading into the draft, but says that it is definitely possible that they could potentially be working out a deal to bring Sheldon Richardson back, reworking the contract. I did find that odd that, right after they signed Jadeveon Clowney, and it was all due to the cap hit that Richardson's contract was going to have on the roster. But by releasing him, it basically lets you start over. And I think Richardson has to kind of look around the league and, what offers he's going to get. I mean, he can chase money or he could chase situations to win. When hearing the quote from Richardson that he felt a very good connection with Cleveland and wanted to be a part of them getting to that next level, felt good about where they were at last year and feels like they're about to take off even further this coming up season. So it is a good possibility the Browns can get a deal, closed with him and figured out with him. Other NFL news today, Kev, how about this? Kansas City, who, after, they signed Tooney just, right as free agency started. And they lost two of their main guys, right as the free agency started because of cap hits and everything like that. And everyone's like, man, you look how bad Patrick Mahomes was in that Super Bowl with that beat up offensive line. Well, they're not going to rely on rookies in the draft. If you're relying on rookies in the draft to protect your franchise quarterback, that's called hope. That's not a game plan. And the Chiefs have said, you know what? We're not going to hope that we have guys to protect our main investment being Patrick Mahomes. We're going to go out and get guys that we know can actually protect our investment in Patrick Mahomes. And that's what the Chiefs have done after finalizing a trade with the Ravens to get Pro Bowl offensive tackle Orlando Brown and one pick in the 21 draft and another in 22. So I love this. They get Orlando Brown. They have Tooney's a really big addition because of the fact that he could play multiple positions on that line, very flexible. But as I said earlier today, man, you got to love the teams that prioritize protecting their quarterback at all costs. And by the way, every narrative out there, Bengals fans went at me today when I posted this. Well, they are addressing the offensive line. It's a good draft. It's a good draft for the Chiefs as well. Then the Chiefs have draft picks. How come the Chiefs didn't approach this and say, yeah, well, we'll just get some rookies no. They're saying we want league-proven Pro Bowl offensive linemen that are going to come in here and protect Joe Burrow. Now, the Bengals got Reef, whatever the hell his name is, for 1 year. Reef had one really good season last year, okay? And because you had one really good season, it's not enough of a good season, Kev, to get that big Joe Tooney type money, right? You need to string together 1 or 2, 3 good seasons to really convince teams that you are worth the dollar that he's going to be asking for. I think he's using the Bengals. He refused to sign longer than a one-term deal, a 1 year deal. That wasn't the Bengals saying, we'll only sign you to a 1 year deal. He told the Bengals, he set the stipulation of, yeah, I'll play with you for 1 year. And I think by going to, he's going to go to Cincinnati, and let's say he balls out, he's going to be right out the door because the Bengals will not pay a lot of money for linemen. So he's using them. He is actually in their way, right? Reef actually hurts the Bengals because they have this mindset that, well, we don't need to draft Penei Sewell or any offensive lineman early in the draft because, well, we have Reef and he plugs a spot that we need for this year. The draft isn't just about this coming up season. It's about long-term.
Right.
What long-term solutions do you have to protecting Burrow? Because the Kansas City Chiefs, who have won a Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes had already won an MVP. He's already got his money. The Chiefs aren't just saying, well, we've had fun with this. Now let's just kind of coast like the Packers did with Aaron Rodgers, right? Remember when they won their Super Bowl? They're like, man, he's so young. Sky's the limit. The Packers just kind of coasted, and they were hoping that he would elevate talent. They were hoping that draft picks would rise up. The Chiefs aren't taking chances. The Chiefs could have done what the weird Bengals fans, some of them, not all of them, the Chiefs could have done what some of the weird Bengals fans are saying that they should do, and, well, just draft guys and hope that they develop. Hope is not a game plan, and I give the Chiefs a ton of credit for saying, we got Patrick Mahomes. We are not going to take chances and draft some good linemen in this upcoming draft. We don't have time to find out if they're the real deal, because if they're not the real deal, now we have 17 games of Patrick Mahomes lining up behind rookies that aren't the real deal. I appreciate what they did here because they said we can't gamble with Patrick Mahomes. You cannot gamble on these guys. You can get proven offensive veteran linemen, draft rookies, rotate them in and out. Once you know you have them, then you can move on from Orlando Brown and others. But that's the smart way to do this. I don't like the mindset and the approach of that some Bengals fans have with this of saying, well, just get a bunch of rookies. I want him to take Penei Sewell, but taking Penei Sewell was still that was the path of least resistance because you should have ended up with one of these bigger name free agents. And no, Reef does not count. He signed a 1 year deal. You have to think big picture. The Browns got Kirkland. The Browns got a lot of good offensive linemen that they locked up for 3 or 4 years. That's how you do it. You don't become friends with benefits with somebody. No, you got to put a ring on that finger, and the Bengals don't care about rings. They're just saying, oh, we addressed the offensive line. No, you did not. You put a Band-Aid over a huge gash on your arm, and still bleeding out the side. So I'm just saying, I appreciate what the Chiefs did because, Kev, they could have done what everyone is saying. We don't need to sign anybody. We got, Tooney. We're picking late in the first round. We can get some really good offensive linemen. The Bengals are fine with taking offensive linemen later in the draft, second, third round guys, and they're okay with that. Bengals fans, you feel comfortable like, oh, the Bengals are like, we could take good offensive linemen later in the draft. Well, why don't you pay attention to what the Chiefs just did? Because that's a Super Bowl winning franchise, and they could have had that same mindset. They didn't, though. They said, no. When it comes to protecting our investment, protecting our main asset, we got to get guys who are proven and to protect him long term, not just for 1 year. I give the Chiefs a lot of credit here.
I do, too. Who made out better in this trade, the Ravens or Kansas City?
Is it possible to be tied? I know that's a safe answer. The Ravens, for one, weren't going to be able to afford him after this year anyways, and they loaded up. I mean, they gave up a lot. They gave up a lot to get him. Because they value their quarterback. Bengals fans, just beat that in your damn head. They value their quarterback. So with that being said, the Ravens weren't going to be able to afford to pay him anyways because they're restructuring money because they're going to be working out a deal with Lamar Jackson coming up. And Lamar
they also signed Ronnie Staley to a big contract last season.
So, and on top of that, they have
their other offensive linemen. Their other Pro Bowl offensive line.
They have depth. Yes, that was my point. Now, the Ravens have so much depth at offensive line that does that make them better losing him? No, that impacts them.
Absolutely.
But they're well coached. They're a winning organization. They've turned Lamar, I don't want to say Lamar gets no credit, but they've put Lamar in position to be the MVP that he is. And so there's no reason not to trust them losing because some Bengals fan today said, are you going to rip the Ravens for not protecting their asset? I'm like, oh, you mean the 3 straight playoff year under Lamar Ravens, who's won a Pro Bowl, who did everything they could to protect him and put him in position to win. I trust what the Ravens are doing here. I just wish that the Bengals would understand what the Kansas City Chiefs just did. They could have been morons and said, oh, well, we could just take linemen later on in the draft. This is a good line. No, it's Patrick Mahomes. You got to make sure you have guys who know what they're doing. Hope is not a game plan. You hoping that rookies come in and protect Joe Burrow. That's not a game plan. Hope is a lazy excuse. And that's what the Bengals are doing. They should have followed what the Chiefs did, and that was pay money because they had the money. They had the money, and it was a very good free agent class for offensive linemen, and they signed Reef for 1 year. I mean, you want a Reef? They must have smoked a reefer before signing Reef. A reefer for Reef. I mean, that's I don't care. And by the way, Reef had really good numbers last year. But he signed a 1 year deal, and then he's going to leave you and go get big money elsewhere because the Bengals will not pay top dollar. They just won't.
I said this way back when the story broke about Orlando Brown Jr. wanting to be playing at left tackle, the position that his father played, the position that pays more money than right tackle. I said this about the team that I follow. I was like, man, the Pittsburgh Steelers should make a play for him. And everybody and their mom told me, well, the Ravens wouldn't trade with the Steelers because they're in the same division. And I was like, well, shoot, the Bengals should. The Bengals should go ahead and trade that. And, it ended up coming out that the team that the Ravens will actually have to see if they want to go to the Super Bowl, they traded them to them, which makes them better. Yeah, because let's be clear, that offensive line by the end of the season for Kansas City was hot garbage. But now they're retooled it. They have young Orlando Brown Jr., who they're going to assign to an extension. So I look at it from the Ravens aspect of, now you have 2 first-round picks. Granted, they're at the back of the draft and everything like that. But guess what? You drafted Orlando Brown Jr. at the back of the draft. So you could package, that one of those first-round picks and that 4th-round pick that you got from Kansas City to go up to potentially to grab a big-time wide receiver. Or you could dial up Atlanta. They're talking about getting rid of Julio Jones. You can dial them up and potentially give them the 4th pick or something else for Julio Jones or something like that. So I'm with you. I understand what people are saying. Like, man, the Ravens, man, I don't know, man. You had a young guy like that. Can you work something out? It was nothing really going to be able to be worked out. So they got what they could get for him. And yeah, granted, Kansas City makes them better for sure, but they got something for him. And they got picks. And the way that the Baltimore Ravens have been drafting outside of receiver, because they don't draft wide receivers, they do well. They draft offensive linemen well and develop offensive linemen well. They develop their defensive players well. So the guys that they're potentially going to get with those picks from Kansas City, I mean, I know you shouldn't say like, oh, man, it's a given, but probably going to be some really good football players for them. Now, are there going to be enough good football players to push them over the top to get to the Super Bowl? That's the question we all got to have answered from the Ravens. I really think they need to make a play and dial up Atlanta and talk to them about Julio Jones.
And that's news that came out today too about that, receiver being available right there. I don't know how crazy this is, but if the Bengals are so obsessed with getting another weapon for Joe Burrow, I don't know what could be packaged together, what would make sense, but I mean, swapping a pick. But see, the Falcons want more than one pick. But it's like if you swapped the pick with the Falcons, just literally swapped one. And Julio Jones is a part of it. So much would have to go into that. I don't know. That's way too much that would have to happen. I get the Bengals' urgency to get another playmaker for Joe Burrow, but you got to relax. You can't have it all right away. I just think that I'm going to say this calmly and nicely to start. I understand that, trust me, the Browns were in that position where they got Baker and they got so excited. Remember, they went out and they made a mistake, though. They moved on from Zeitler to get OBJ, and they realized, oh, crap, we screwed up. That's why they had to go and get Kirkland, and they went out and they got some good offensive linemen, Kevin. That's why they had the best offensive line in football, because they realized after the first year with Baker, remember, they wanted toys, right?
Yeah.
They were like, they could have left that offensive, but they moved Zeitler to be able to get OBJ because they got a little bit too excited. And that's what the Bengals are doing now. Oh, man, we have Joe Burrow, man. Imagine if we give him Jamar Chase. It's like, just stay the course. Calm down. Joe Burrow is going to... I mean, everyone acts like Joe Burrow needs Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow was a fantastic quarterback last year with T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. He doesn't have a number one receiver. I'm not saying you don't need one, but you don't need one to the point to where you are literally going to take the best receiver in the draft before you take the best lineman in the draft, when lineman is the number one need. Keith Byers made a good point earlier today. He said when he played with the Eagles, the one thing that the Eagles, their whole mantra about the draft is if you're picking in the top 10, you draft based on need. Anything from 11 and later, it's all best player available. And when you're drafting number 5, your team's not good enough to do the best player available mindset. It has to be the best need. To act like Jamar Chase is the only good receiver that the Bengals will have a chance to get to, here's the thing. Wide receivers are going to flock to Joe Burrow. Mm-hmm. Like, wide receivers want to go play with good quarterbacks because that's how they make their money. The receiver numbers, the better the receiver numbers are, the more money that they make. They don't want to go play with bums. Lamar Jackson's not a bum, but receivers aren't flocking to Lamar Jackson because their concern is, man, he's known for running and he can throw the ball, but he's not a great passer. I would be doing myself a disservice going to play with Lamar Jackson, who couldn't give me the ball. You could argue that, OBJ didn't choose to go to Cleveland. He got traded to Cleveland. He hasn't forced his way out yet, but would receivers flock to come play with Baker Mayfield, who, hey, they're a run first team. Maybe I don't want to go play with Baker Mayfield, even though, guys within that have already played with him from his rookie year enjoy playing with him. So Joe Burrow is so damn good, Kevin. I'm complimenting them. He is so damn good that if you just fine tune that offensive line, you're not going to kick yourself for missing out on Jamar Chase, because there's a lot of really good receivers out there. And I'm not even talking about this draft. Who knows? I have to look at what the upcoming free agent class is going to look like next year moving forward. But I guarantee you, Kev, wide receivers are going to want to play with Joe Burrow, but you have to keep him upright long enough to be able to maximize their talent. I just think Bengals fans are so excited right now, Kev, that they don't want the boring offensive line pick. They want the sexy Jamar Chase pick, right? I just think that, as from watching the Browns, that was a prime example of the Browns got distracted. They got off course a bit. They got rid of Zeitler so they can go get OBJ, and they had OBJ, and then Baker got sacked near 30 times that year, and it was like, holy crap, he can't throw the ball because quarterbacks can't play well under pressure. Remember that narrative? Mm-hmm. So Baker Mayfield, it was like, you have all these toys. How are you not winning? Because the offensive line was trash. That's why the Browns made it a priority last year to get Hooper as the tight end, a good blocking tight end, and to go out and get Kirkland and to make sure that offensive line is the best in football. And I think that I'm hoping the Bengals don't make that mistake of just getting a little too carried away and excited. You have this new toy in Burrow, and it's so tempting to go get a Jamar Chase to put with him. That time will come. You may miss on Jamar Chase, but there's going to be so many great receivers in the coming years that are going to flock to play with Joe Burrow, but he has to be standing upright for you to get the most out of him. I just think that right now we're getting too caught up in the running before we learn to walk thing. Yeah. And the Browns made that mistake. And I know Bengals fans don't want to follow what the Browns do, but the Browns made that mistake. And I fear the Bengals are about to make that same mistake where they're skipping a step. You have to get that offensive line down first, protect your quarterback, and then everything else will fall into place. People will line up to come play with Joe Burrow, and it'll be fun. But if you give them a crap-ass offensive line, it doesn't matter who your receivers are. It ain't going to be maximized to its full extent.
I think we talked about this before. Let me ask you again. Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase if the Bengals were going to draft him?
Just repeat that.
Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase, if the Bengals were making that selection, which one would you want?
Which one would I want? I mean, see, and to sit here, and it's like, this is all based on the hype that's been given to both. Kyle Pitts, everyone is acting like, I mean, and I hope so, whoever gets him, I hope he's like, I love stars in the NFL. I think Jamar Chase will get the rub because he played with Joe Burrow in college, and it's about keeping Joe Burrow happy. But I still think Joe Burrow, it doesn't matter who he's throwing to. If the guy can catch a football, that's all that's going to matter. I think it sounds like it's all Jamar Chase. Remember, Jamar Chase, we had Jay Morrison on, covers the Bengals. He said that he's not even in the conversation anymore. It's all about Jamar Chase or Penei Sewell. So I think if it's not Sewell, it's definitely going to be Jamar Chase. I don't think a curveball will be thrown for Pitts to Cincinnati.
Okay, the reason I bring that up because you got to think about Jermaine Gresham, the tight end they drafted out of Oklahoma, and then you think about Tyler Eifert, tight end from Notre Dame. They were good. They were good players, average, tight ends in the NFL, about a C. But if you're drafting the dude that high in the NFL draft, like top 5, he's got to turn out to be Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates. If you're drafting a tight end that high, you can't draft
Travis Kelce, yeah,
you can't draft a tight end and he turns out to be average. I mean, at worst, if the Bengals draft Pitts, he's got to be Dallas Clark, like at worst. But you can't draft a dude and he turns out just to be average, like that high in the draft, man. I mean, to be perfectly honest, that goes for any position player out there. But when you think about the tight end spot, man, we're seeing that the evolution of these guys and, everything. But, I mean, top 5, you got to be a Hall of Famer in my eyes, man, at the tight end position, man. Like, that's a position, like, I can't say, like, all right, man, we're going to draft a tight end. It's almost like saying, like, we're going to draft a safety that high. Like, a safety in the top 5? Like, that's a little risky for me, man. And that's why we always hear all this stuff about, you're drafting a quarterback in the top 5. You're drafting anchor your offensive line or a pass rusher that's going to get, 10 to 12 sacks a year. You don't hear that about a tight end position. So Bengals fans, like, I know it's a lot of people out there still want him because, the hype and how people are viewing him being a potentially Travis Kelce and flexing out at basically almost like a wide receiver, almost. Like, I will worry about that, man. I will worry about that a lot, man, because I will look at the past positions that we've been drafting at the tight end. Those guys were average, but if I'm drafting a tight end in top 5, he's got to have a gold jacket and not a gold jacket for another team. He's got to go in to Canton in a gold jacket in a Bengals uniform.
Nick on Facebook says the difference between Chase and any wide receiver that falls in the second is far greater than Sewell in the offensive line talent. There will be first-round OL guys in the second. Says who? Says who? Penei Sewell is being talked about. Is any other offensive lineman being talked about being Anthony Munoz? No. And by the way, the entire draft is all speculation. Nothing is definitive. But when you're sitting here and you talk about Penei Sewell being compared to Anthony Munoz, and by the way, and I don't care, first-round talent, and I've heard this line before too. Well, the Bengals can get, guys who graded out as starters in the NFL later. The Bengals have starters on there. There's a lot of starters in the NFL. Not a lot of good ones. So what does that mean, starter? Like, are they going to be graded as good starters? Because you don't know. It's all, that's the thing right now, though. You have to at least show, because that's the other thing with the Bengals. PR is going to matter here. Yeah. How do they look coming out? Because, Kev, what happens if Joe Burrow gets hurt again? Now, because here's the thing, and I heard a good point the other day. Colin Cowherd brought up a great point with this. If Joe Burrow plays all 16 games last year with that bad offensive line, and like he's still, because keep in mind, we don't beat up the Seahawks the way we do the Bengals. And the Seahawks have an atrocious offensive line. Mm-hmm. Russell Wilson gets hit a ton. Now, the narrative there a little bit is that Russell Wilson creates a lot of those hits because he runs out of the pocket. But their offensive line doesn't get beat up, and why? And I love this point from Colin. It really made me reshape how I thought this, because their offensive line is worse than Cincinnati's at times. But he stays healthy. Mm-hmm. Now, if all of a sudden Russell Wilson started getting hurt, 2 of the last 3 years, then you would have to look at the organization and say, okay, what's up? You guys aren't doing your part. Like, sometimes these quarterbacks who are durable, that's their worst trait. Because, you know what I mean? I know your best ability is your availability, but sometimes when you're getting beat up like that and you're playing well, like I thought, like Joe Burrow, the worst thing that could have happened last year was him actually staying healthy, Kev. You know why? Because if he would have stayed healthy, and he was hit the third most times in the NFL last year and didn't even play the last 2 months. I love bringing that stat up because it really, like, if you think about it, it's like a wow stat. He was hit the third most times and didn't even play the last 2 months of the season. And if he doesn't get hurt last year, Kev, I don't think there's any pressure on the Bengals to take Penei Sewell. The reason the pressure is on the Bengals to take Penei Sewell is so that if Joe Burrow gets hurt again next year, Kev, the Bengals can say, yeah, but we did our part. We drafted Sewell. We drafted Sewell. Can you imagine, Kev, if they draft Jamar Chase and then they try to protect Joe Burrow with a bunch of 3rd and 4th round guys and he gets hurt again like that? You think I'm annoying as hell now? And everyone last year called me out and said that I'm being dramatic, that the worst case scenario wasn't going to happen. And it happened. Bengals fans were mad at me before I even cracked the mic that Monday after he got hurt. Kev, I got blasted on Twitter. I didn't say a word. I purposely did not tweet a thing that day that he got hurt because I knew I was going to get blasted for it. They were mad at me because he got hurt because they knew they were going to have to deal with the ha-ha, I told you so. Now, there was no ha-ha, I told you so because I didn't find his injury funny because Bengals fans think that I hate Joe Burrow. I'm actually so pissed at the Bengals because they have something great and they're choosing to ignore it. I don't care about receivers. I don't care about tight ends. If you do what the Browns screwed up, they had the quarterback. And they got too excited. They wanted to get him a new toy in OBJ, and they traded Zeitler. The offensive line took a hit, and then Baker took a step back because the O-line was crap. And then they give him an O-line, and oh my God, they win 11 games. They get to the playoffs. They win a playoff game. So I'm not bashing Joe Burrow here. I'm drafting the organization so that they do the right thing. And I know you can get offensive linemen later in the draft, but I'm telling you it doesn't matter, Kev, because if they draft Jamar Chase first and they take an offensive lineman later, the narrative is well, the Bengals waited to address the line until later in the draft. Instead, they wanted to get Jamar Chase, and now Joe Burrow's out in week 7, and he's out for the 2nd straight season. That is not a good thing. And it doesn't matter how he gets hurt because technically his injury really wasn't because the line collapsed on him. Remember that injury? Right. We got into it that next day because I wanted to beat him up and you wouldn't let me. But that's not what the narrative is.
Right.
The narrative, perception is reality. And that's what the Bengals have to be careful of here. I see a lot of good stuff coming in on Facebook. We're going to get to all your reaction on the other side. You guys, I know you're sick of hearing me bash the Bengals and the offensive line. I still think after all the smack I've talked, I am not convinced that the Bengals are dumb enough to take a wide receiver at number 5. I truly think they're going to do the right thing. And the right thing is to take Penei Sewell. And even if Penei Sewell doesn't work out,
oh boy,
even if he doesn't work out, that's a whole other narrative of now you got to start bashing the development because I still think that that's a problem in Cincinnati. I do like that they went out and got Pollock. I think that's going to help fix some of the issues that they've had. But they cannot say we didn't try, even though I'm still think they should have done more in free agency. But they can't say they didn't try. When they go out and get the best offensive lineman that was available, that's all. We'll be back in a moment. 457-9464. Bengals fans, let's have a friendly conversation. Don't go anywhere. Good luck.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mainly clear, a high around 75. Tonight will be mostly clear, a low near 55. And tomorrow's going to be partly cloudy, a high around 83. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
First Florist and Greenhouses is celebrating their 116th year in business. Their garden center opens for the season April 29th and is full of beautiful garden plants, vegetables, and more. You'll be amazed at the quality and volume of plants in stock. The First family thanks you for your support in their 116th year in business at the same location, 1306 Troy Street in Dayton. Call them at 937-223-1213 or visit them online at firstflorist.com. That's FURST florist.com.
There's been a lot of talk about the chicken sandwich wars lately, but only Lee's Chicken Sandwich is made famous. At Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, homestyle happens here with our chicken sandwich combo for only $5.99. You'll get a fresh, never frozen chicken breast in your choice of famous recipe or spicy, topped with chipotle ranch and pickles on a brioche bun, all served with a regular side and drink. Get a taste of fame with our chicken sandwich combo for only $5.99. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Hi, my name is Brian Sommers, and I'm an attorney with Kirkland and Sommers. We are a law firm dedicated to divorce and family law. We have 2 locations serving Miami Valley, one near Austin Landing and the other in Troy. Remember, we're not part-time divorce and family lawyers. We're full-time here for you.
Kirkland and Sommers, trusted and experienced, a family law practice dedicated to serving you. Visit them online at kirklandandsummers.com. That's Summers with an O, kirklandandsummers.com.
At Napa, we keep things moving. If it has wheels and an engine, we help keep it on the road. And if it's on the road, we have parts for it. And if you need a part, you can get it fast, like same-day pickup or next-day delivery fast. At Napa, when we're not thinking about cars, we're thinking about the people who drive them. Because when it comes to serving you and our community, our motor never quits. That's Napa know-how. Same-day pickup and next-day delivery available at participating stores and on in-stock items only.
When it comes to starting your morning off right, Wendy's is always the best choice. And now that our sweet and savory honey butter chicken biscuit is only $1.99, you have no excuse to get your breakfast anywhere else. It's freshly prepared with sweet honey butter and all white meat chicken on a flaky biscuit. It's never been easier to steer clear of bad breakfast. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's and get the breakfast you deserve. The $1.99 honey butter chicken biscuit.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours. A la carte only. Not valid in a combo.
Receive a $5 rebate by trading up any non-contact thermometer toward an Exergen temporal scanner purchased at any retailer. With COVID continuing to spread, nothing matters more than having an accurate thermometer that's backed by more than 80 published peer-reviewed clinical studies, like the Exergen temporal scanner. Even after getting the COVID vaccine, you should be monitoring for fever to make sure you are protected. Keep your family and yourself safe by trading up your non-contact thermometer for an accurate temporal scanner and a $5 rebate from Exergen, where accuracy matters. Details at Exergen.com.
Hi, break time?
I know you.
I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. It seems like you take care of yourself.
I do. I play tennis. I try to eat well.
What about screening for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. Colon cancer is more treatable when it's caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and is used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit requestcologuard.com.
I'm on it.
Excellent.
Hello, I'm a unicorn. Yes, one of those. Everyone's trying to find me, but most can't, unless there's ZipRecruiter. If you've hired before, you understand it's quite hard to find a unicorn. You know, someone who's perfect for your role. So how does ZipRecruiter do it so quickly? ZipRecruiter's technology matches your job up with the right people for your role and invites them to apply, so you get brilliant candidates fast.
Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/hire. That's ZipRecruiter.com/hire.
Cub Cadet XT Enduro Series lawn tractors are setting the standard for performance and comfort. Head to your locally owned Cub Cadet dealer, East Lawn and Garden, today and see how the fastest growing lawn tractor delivers more strength, more versatility, and more durability in one lineup. All backed by strong warranties and the genuine parts, accessories, and trained service technicians only your local Cub Cadet dealer can provide. For expert advice, superior service, and exceptional offers, visit East Lawn and Garden, 1632 East Route 36 in Urbana today.
Panera favorites are hot and ready to serve for dinner. Taste our creamy mac and cheese served in a crispy bread bowl. Or the classic bacon turkey Bravo featuring our signature sauce. How about our new mouth-watering Chipotle chicken and bacon flatbread pizza? These and other favorites are waiting for you. Order dinner tonight for delivery or pickup. Only at Panera. Availability and pricing may vary.
It's all about the nose. It's your air filter, the first line of defense against bacteria and viruses. If too many germs get stuck in your nose, guess what? You get sick. That's why it's so important to keep your nose clean, just like washing your hands. Now there's a better way to keep your nose clean and help your body protect itself. It's called Navage Nasal Care. Navage uses powered suction to flush out allergens, mucus, bacteria, and viruses. At Navage.com, CVS, Walgreens, Bed Bath, Target, and Rite Aid. Navage, Navage.
Contact 811 at least 48 hours before you dig, and Ohio811.org will notify the utilities to mark underground lines near your projects. It's the law. More info at Ohio811.org.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we are back. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash, hanging out with you here on a Monday. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I got to experience Churchill Downs for the first time over the weekend. That was pretty dang cool.
Nice.
There, of course, it's Derby week and everything. Everyone's gearing up for that down there. Of course, look, I'm not a big getting dressed up guy. I'm not. I don't. For one, I'm not joking. When you take a short, fat kid like me and you put him in black pants and a white dress shirt and you put the coat over it, I look like a penguin. And I walk side to. I just don't like getting dressed up. But when we were buying the tickets for Churchill, they were saying, we urge you. It's opening night at Churchill Downs. You need to dress up and everything. I'm like, I'm putting a nicer collared shirt on, but that's about it. But no, people get real decked out for that, man. Like it was cool. Horse racing's not really my thing, but I tell you what, I might have actually got the itch for it over the weekend. Like I'm like, okay, there's horse racing around here. I might go check it out. But I'm only betting like small amounts and stuff. But I lost my first couple because I didn't know what I was doing. And then I'm texting Schlemmer. Schlemmer, of course, is the king of the horse races. So I'm texting him like, what do I do? What do I do? And then of course his advice worked, and he would be so proud that I won a couple races towards the end. And then I'm like. But then we were out of races. It was pouring down rain. It was freezing cold. Of course, today is absolutely beautiful. This would be a perfect night to go there. But it was cool. I mean, that's like going to the Derby is like going to the Masters or whatever, something like that. Like, golf. I don't really like watching golf, but I watch the Masters. Mm-hmm. I don't really watch any other golf on TV. But the Masters, you have to watch the Masters because it's the Masters. I don't care about horse race, but like there's something about the Derby. You just zero in on the Derby, but it was pretty cool. Such a unique place. The history there is very old school. That's what I really liked about it. But in Kentucky, there you go. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool.
I got some stories about the Kentucky Derby. I'll tell you off mic.
Off mic. You've been there?
Yes.
Oh, you've been to the Derby, like the actual Kentucky Derby, not just been to Churchill. You've been to the Derby.
I've been to the Derby.
Good for you.
Off mic conversation.
Off mic conversation.
Yes. So this
you
is
and Gronk, huh? Any Gronk story is an off the mic conversation.
Is this your first time getting dressed up since the pandemic?
No, I had a court date. No, I'm just joking. Lost the kids. Yes. Yeah.
No, you got dressed up for Hooper's wedding.
Oh, yeah.
I got dressed. I've basically been wearing hoodies and joggers since last March. So I've got dressed up twice. We went to my wife's one of her friends' weddings, and we went to Hooper's wedding. That's the last two times I've actually put on real clothes, like a button up, some slacks, and some real shoes instead of like some Vans and some joggers. This has been my uniform since the pandemic.
But no, so again, I didn't really know what I was doing. And I went down and I'm like trying to listen how other people place bets because I want to know the lingo. And the one guy's, I'm going to put X amount of, he was putting and the guy in front of me was putting down sick amount of cash. I mean, he had just wads of hundreds and I had wads of ones. Like I look like I just got back from the strip club. This guy looks like he just robbed a bank. So it's just like.
You hear about the dude in Michigan? He won $2 million on a scratch off.
Oh, see, that's where it's at.
A $20 scratch off turned into $2 million. I
remember when I was younger, my grandpa was alive. He would always do. Both my grandpas they're big on scratch offs. And my grandpa, my grandpa that's alive now, every time I see him, he goes to the store and he'll get the scratch offs, and he'll always give me the scratch offs, or just win a couple dollars or whatever. But my other grandpa was the same way. There's somebody winning the scratch offs. He always save a pile of them and give them to me. It's about $10-12 or whatever. Even 20-something years old, you still get those scratch offs. You got to feel good. But. So I'm standing behind that guy. He's placing these big bets, and I hear him say, I'll put down X amount of dollars across the board. I'm like, oh, across the board. That sounds cool. I don't know what that means, but I'm going to do it too. So I get up there. I'm like, oh, $20 across the board. He goes, all right, that'll be $60. I said, no. I said 20. Well, across the board, show, place, fit, whatever. So I'm like, oh yeah, just 20 to win. I was like, so I from that point on, I didn't try to be cute with anything. I'm like, so $20 across the board, please. He's like, that's $60. I'm like, no, pal, listen, I said $20. $20 across the board. It's 20 each. So I'm like, oh, forget that. We're just going to do 20. I won that one.
Nice.
So the next time, I'm like $20 across the board. Then I had the $60 ready to go.
That sounds like me the first time I went to Las Vegas and learned how to play blackjack.
I don't know, but I do really.
So my buddy, he lived in Vegas and he's trying to like school me on it. So I'm playing or whatever. And then I'm just talking out loud. So I'm like, hold on. So since I know that I have an ace and he has an ace, I know there's only 4 more aces, 2 more aces in the deck, right? He's like, oh, don't say that out loud. I was like, why not? It's like, that's counting cards. That's illegal. I was like, huh? Like, how is that illegal? Like, that's simple math. He's like, dude, you can't do that here. And you definitely can't say it out loud.
And you're going to have some.
I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. This is my first time.
You're going to have some big old bodies coming at you to take you out. Not like the little bodies like lining up in front of Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, like big old bodies. They'll come knock you out, but there you go. I've never played blackjack or anything like that.
It's actually
I know how to play.
Fun.
Really?
You winning, and you got. But I mean, I was just playing like a buck. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't brave enough to be out there with $20, $40 big bucks. Next time I go to Vegas, I want to do roulette because that's where the money's at.
Yeah, that's where I won a lot of money, and then I'm not allowed to go back to a casino by myself because I have no self-discipline. That's why I'm fat. But fat and poor. I'm fat and poor because I don't know how to stop eating and I don't know how to stop spending money when I win. I'll never forget. So I'm not. I refuse. I will not go to a casino by myself. I got in trouble when I went by myself. Won a ton of money, and then I'm like, well, if I won all that money in a half hour, imagine what I could do with another half hour. Well, I found out it wasn't pretty. So I remember going to my buddy's bachelor party, and we're at the casino, and we're about to leave to go to the Reds game. And I said, I have this, $20. I am not going to gamble once. I'm not going to spend one dime here unless a machine calls my name. I'm being a smart ass the whole time. Nope, that machine's not calling my name. Not going to do it. We are leaving the casino. And I was proud of myself because I didn't spend one dime. And as a joke, it wasn't really a joke, but as me, I'm always having to get attention on me somehow. I say, stop that machine right there. She's calling my name. It's like, oh, Kenner, knock it off. Stop. I said, no, I'm about to win. It is purring, baby. It is calling my name. I put the $20 in. Bells and whistles start going. I won about like $400 or $500. It was awesome.
Nice.
Like, you could not write it better. Like, it was the funniest thing because I'm just trying to get attention. I love attention. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Stop that machine right there. It's calling my name. So I walk over with that 20 because all eyes were on me to make sure I didn't gamble because of what happened the last time I went to the casino. So I put the damn 20 in. The bells and whistles start going. Everyone's losing their minds. It was so damn funny. So I bought beers for everyone when we got to the game. It was absolutely cool.
Nice. I've never won big when I was in Vegas. My wife's best friend, she won like $300 on a $2 slot machine.
Yep.
Like we were there. That happened the weekend we got married in Vegas. So yeah, she won, but we didn't win.
Yeah. Well, see, over the weekend, again, as at Churchill Downs, winning some money, but my winnings were not keeping up with Nora's drink orders. She's all about the mint juleps and everything.
That's what the big
thing is. She couldn't
yeah.
wait to get a mint julep. And I go up there to I'm like, 2 mint juleps, please. Like $30. I'm like, wait, I said 2. I didn't say 3. Nope, 30. So I'm like, you better sip that slowly. Nope. I'm like, every time I'd win, she goes, another mint julep, please. And I'm like, dang it. You got to be kidding me.
Goodness.
Anyways, we're way off track here. No pun intended. There you go. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers and Orion Sports Medicine. Happy to be with you here on a Monday. A lot to get into. We'll step away for a few moments. When we come back, Baker Mayfield from the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns exercised the 5th-year option on Baker Mayfield. He's now going to make $18.5 million starting in 2022. And the Browns, who I thought were embarking on the end of this little run here, Kev, because I thought they were going to have to start moving on from some pieces. I kind of like that they're taking their time with Baker Mayfield. I'm not, I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan, but I'm not a Baker Mayfield apologist to the point to where I'm going to tell you that he's Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and he deserves to be paid right away. I think the Browns made the right decision. So I think that the Browns, this was like the best thing for the team as a whole. I think that the Browns are embarking on something big here because as we all know, the second you give your quarterback top dollars, the second that your Super Bowl chances dwindle at a high clip. And the Browns might have just opened that door to give them an opportunity to potentially get a Super Bowl here within the next 2 to 3 years. We'll talk about that on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus, home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well, medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Save big money on your next project with 11% off everything right now at Menards. Give a beautiful, rich color to your projects with Minwax Wood Finish. Minwax is a penetrating stain that enhances all types of wood. All quarts and gallons are 11% off. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through May 1st. Savings are mail and rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Your home for fun food, sports, and spirits is also the home for value. Frickers Everyday Value begins on Monday with boneless frickin' chicken wings, 69 cents each. Tuesday offers traditional frickin' chicken wings, 69 cents each. On Wednesday, enjoy a steak dinner for $6.99. And Thursday, frickin' chicken chunks for $6.99. Download the Frickers mobile app to receive loyalty points, free food, and order online. Today and every day, the home for everyday values is the home for fun food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
The Meyer Distribution Center in Tip City, Ohio is hiring for warehouse positions in all units, which include flexible schedules, best-in-class benefits, enhanced starting wages, and $500 sign-on bonus. Interested candidates should call 937-669-9109, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., Monday through Friday, or walk in for an interview. Walk-in interviews are strongly encouraged and available Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Call 937-669-9109 for an interview. Meyer is an equal opportunity employer.
I hate Tom's Tulip Shop. It just smells so flowery. Like we're good at your flower shop. You don't need to remind us.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
I needed a fake plant. They don't sell fake plants. Thanks for nothing, Tom.
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial, auto, and business insurance.
Then he says, have a great day. I'll decide what kind of day to have.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
What do you get when you talk to a Dell Technologies advisor? You get someone who understands there's an art to listening.
Sure.
Who's able to hear more than what's being said and can provide tailored small business solutions that make you feel truly heard.
I understand. Let's get started.
For advice on everything from laptops to the cloud and solutions powered by Intel vPro platform, call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
Receive a $5 rebate by trading up any non-contact thermometer toward an Exergen temporal scanner purchased at any retailer. With COVID continuing to spread, nothing matters more than having an accurate thermometer that's backed by more than 80 published peer-reviewed clinical studies, like the Exergen temporal scanner. Even after getting the COVID vaccine, you should be monitoring for fever to make sure you are protected. Keep your family and yourself safe by trading up your non-contact thermometer for an accurate temporal scanner and a $5 rebate from Exergen, where accuracy matters. Details at Exergen.com.
Whether it's next day delivery or getting involved in their local communities, Napa goes above and beyond to serve you because their motor never quits. That's Napa know-how.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
So, other NFL news. I'll get to the Baker Mayfield thing here in a moment. We'll probably push that back by another 10 minutes, top of the 5 o'clock hour. I want to talk about the importance of what the Browns just did. Everyone's like, oh, I bet you're disappointed the Browns didn't pay him top dollar. He doesn't need to be paid top dollar yet. I don't think Lamar needs to be paid top dollar yet, and I don't think Josh Allen does. I think that the of all the three, Lamar definitely deserves one MVP, playoffs every year, whatever. But I do think that the Bills need to take their time with Josh Allen, and I think that the Browns need to take their time with Baker Mayfield. I think that there's still a lot of question marks. Even though Lamar Jackson has been very, he's produced a ton, there are still a lot of question marks about who's holding who back? Is it the Ravens front office and their inability to draft wide receivers and sign free agent wide receivers? Is that holding Lamar back, or is Lamar holding the Ravens back? So when I said, Kev, that he shouldn't be paid yet, that's where I'm at with that, is in regards to, I think the Ravens need to figure that out. But he's going to get paid. The wheels are in motion for getting him paid. That's why you saw Orlando Brown. That was just, they moved on. They had no interest in trying to re-sign him. So I found that interesting. But I have no problem with it. We're going to get that into 10 minutes from now, top of the hour, 5 o'clock on the Baker Mayfield thing. But the Dallas Cowboys today announced that linebacker Sean Lee is officially retired after 11 seasons, played in 4 of them. I mean, everyone was like, it was like news today that he was out. I mean, he's been out for years. I like Sean Lee. He was great for the Cowboys when he was on the field, but just an injury battered player, but a very good player when he was on the field. But I think that this changes some things. There's been so much talk about the Cowboys trying to find a way to move up to take Kyle Pitts, Patrick Surtain III, and some of these, J.C. Horn or whatever his name is, the cornerback from South Carolina. So there's so many big names out there that they can get to address some of their needs. Secondary is a big concern, as is, I don't think look, the Cowboys don't need to go. It's not a need to go get Kyle Pitts. They would like Kyle Pitts to pair. I do know this though. If they do that, they're basically just saying, you know what, it doesn't matter if we get J.C. Horn or some of these others, we're still going to be bad defensively because it's going to be hard to overhaul a bad defense. If they all go and they get Kyle Pitts, okay, that's one thing. I don't mind it just because now they have this like dominant offense that is set moving forward, and now they can focus on the defense moving forward. Remember, the purpose of a draft is not to turn you. I mean, you would like it to turn you into a Super Bowl team right away. But that's not the case. But now people are like, you're a hypocrite because Joe Burrow, they can get alignment later. It's different with them though, because the Cowboys line isn't great, but Dak Prescott will be fine. Mm-hmm. I know he's coming off of that injury, but it is what it is. We'll talk about that more later. But it's big picture for the Cowboys. There's more of an urgent need for the Bengals in the near future of protecting Burrow now. So, but if linebacker becomes a thing, and it is a thing now for the Cowboys that they need to address, this could be the avenue for Penn State's Micah Parsons. Don't be surprised to see Micah Parsons be selected number 10 by the Dallas Cowboys. But Keith Byers brought up a good point earlier. He goes, look, I like Micah Parsons. I don't want him to end up with the Cowboys, but he said you have to go corner before you go linebacker. Even if Micah Parsons is higher up and better at his position than any of those really good corners at theirs, where should the Cowboys go with that? Should they go Micah Parsons at 10? Or look at some of those talented secondary guys that everyone is speaking very highly of right now? Who should the Cowboys look to get? I'm torn. I don't think they can go wrong either way. I don't think one hurts you. I mean, you're going to be weaker at one than the other. But what's tougher to find? I think there's always available cornerbacks in the draft and even free agency. It's tough to find good linebackers. But you don't need good linebackers as much as you need secondary guys. I think this is going to be an interesting dilemma for the Cowboys now and how they want to attack this.
I think they go with the corner. I think they go with Surtain simply because they still have Jalen Smith and they still have Van Der Esch. So they still have part of their linebacking core.
They've had to rely on them anyways because Lee is always out to begin.
Exactly. So this wasn't be anything out of the norm. If they do play and go ahead and grab Micah Parsons, I see it as a win-win. Micah Parsons and Patrick Surtain are like one of my favorite guys in the draft because, you know, we talked about this before, like receiver is a need position. Quarterback is also a need position. We need everybody to operate correctly. Defensive players really don't need anybody else. Hey, cover that guy, tackle that guy, hurt that guy. Like, it's a pretty simple mindset when it comes to defensive players. As long as they go defense, as long as they get one of those dudes, as long as they get Surtain, man, I would even, if they grab the guy that I can't pronounce his name, Jeremiah Osuwu-Koroma. Did I do that right?
I had it down a while back. I have to see it again. I have to sound it out, but yeah, I have to see it in front of me. But yes.
Even if they go that route, I'm good with. If I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, I'm one of those linebackers or one of those corners. One of them. Don't get fancy, man. Like, I understand, man. You want the toys. You want the guys that can score touchdowns and put up all the stats and everything like that. But, man, they couldn't stop anybody last year. Anybody. So, as I think about it, I think linebacker probably is more. You probably need a linebacker more as I think about it.
Well, because the Cowboys can approach this one of two different ways. So I remember last year when the Browns were loading up on the offensive side of the ball and everyone's like, you're ignoring your defense. You're ignoring your defense. And the Browns basically said, relax, big picture. Yes, we need a defense and an offense, but there's only so many picks. And of those picks, there's only so many elite talents that we can get there. If the Cowboys say, okay, if you look at Kyle Pitts, he's a generational talent to where there's always going to be guys like Micah Parsons, always going to be guys like Patrick Surtain and others in the draft. I could see the Cowboys going for the flash here. Let's find a way to move up to get Kyle Pitts.
It would be the Cowboy way.
Yeah, it would because it would pair him up with CeeDee Lamb. You have Zeke. Now, that sounds like a lot of bells and whistles. Zeke, I don't get all warm and fuzzy inside. I know he's a Buckeye, but he hasn't been elite in a few years now. But let's just assume, 1,000-yard back in Zeke. Now you have, CeeDee Lamb, a great pickup last year in the draft. Now you add Kyle Pitts, and then you also have Amari Cooper and Dak. And look what they did. I mean, so now you have a dominant tight end. You have very good wide receivers. You have a 1,000-yard back there. Now it's like, okay, we got our offense set now. Now next year, every draft pick is going to be focused on the defense and free agency. I could see the Cowboys going that the way the Browns did, where they ignored their defense completely last year. They went all in on the offense. And then this year, it's been all about the defense. I could see the Cowboys doing that same type of thing.
But they would have to trade up to get them, though.
They would have to trade up. And there are serious talks about that happening.
Is that the right move to do?
It's
like if he failed to them at 10, I wouldn't say anything. But giving up the 10th spot and probably a third or a fourth pick to jump up there to get him, that's where I would be worried about if I was a Dallas Cowboy fan. I wouldn't want to be mortgaging the back end of my draft because my defense is so bad. Those guys that you're going to be drafting in the second and third round probably are going to be starters for you this year. But if you give up those picks to get him, you better be scoring 40 a game.
Well, I think the other thing, too, is this is like positioning yourself to win a bad division. Your defense isn't great, but are you afraid of Daniel Jones and the Giants? And actually, I don't mind their offense. It's not terrible, but Daniel Jones is the X factor there. Washington, I love their coach, and I feel they're going in the right direction, but they're kind of – so that's where they're going to – the Cowboys are like, look, there's three other teams in this division that are further along defensively than we are. But even if they slow us down to 24, 27 points a game instead of our 35, 40, we're still beating them by 2 touchdowns because Washington's offense is bad as of right now. Philly doesn't even know what the hell's going on with them. The Giants think they're on track. So I think that the Cowboys could afford to go and find a way to get Kyle Pitts because even with their defense being a mess, as good as some of those defenses are in that NFC East, the Cowboys offense is so damn good that it's like the Chiefs where you could slow it down, but you're not going to stop it. And the Cowboys could say, we can get by. We can actually win the division with this offense and bad defense this year and then worry about the defense later. That's why I just keep getting this vibe that but you could also say, this offense is already good enough to dominate this division. And if you get a Micah Parsons or Patrick Surtain or whoever, now you're a few pieces away from not just winning the division, but actually being true players in the NFC, which they still got a ways to go there. But I don't know. It's the Cowboys, so it wouldn't surprise me if they moved up. And to be honest, they can look at Cincinnati, load them up with some picks. I think the Bengals are begging to be out of position to get Sewell so that when they don't take Sewell, it's not oh my God, you didn't take Sewell. It's, well, he wasn't even available with where we were at anyways. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. But even if the Cowboys stand pat and they just get defense, their offense is still extremely, really good too. By the way, don't be surprised. Zeke could still be released. Zeke could still be released or used in some kind of trade chip. It would not surprise me at all, especially with that first. I mean, the Jaguars have the first pick in every draft, every round. Urban Meyer, baby. He already has a Buckeye running back on the roster, though. So
who? Carlos Hyde?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Hour 2 in the books. Eric Pugh. Hey, Justin, I heard the offensive lineman you want the Bengals to take didn't play last season and was hurt the season before. Is that true? Did he do well at the combine? There was no combine. Did have a great pro day. Sat out last year because of COVID. Was injured the year before that, but he wasn't out the whole season. He played most of that season.
Yeah, he still won like all the awards for offensive linemen and everything like that as a true sophomore and everything like that. The way I would look at it is, hey, man, that's less mileage. That's less mileage on a very violent position that he plays at offensive lineman. So that's how I would approach it.
Sorry, Kev, I thought you had more in the chamber. No, you're good. And on top, and Eric, on top of that, I know he didn't play last season. He opted out, but so did the receiver, Jamar Chase. And look, I don't like using that against him. Any of them who sat out of last year. It's no different than players who missed his full season because of injury. They didn't play last year, and they usually return to form as far as that goes. Vincent Waller's fine. I've seen a lot of Bengals fans saying that they don't want Sewell because he sat out last season and will be rusty. But they're in love with Chase, who also sat out last year. It makes no sense with that. And Eric, I don't think that's what you were saying. I think you were just asking. It's not. I think what Eric is asking is, yes, he did sit out last year by opting out, but you mix that with the injuries the year before, but it wasn't like he was out the whole year with injuries. Yeah, he was injured. He got banged up, but he's, like you said, took all the top offensive lineman awards home by the end of the season. So there you go. Hour 2 in the books. Hour 3 coming up next. Let's talk Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns. Did the Browns make the right decision in picking up the 5th-year option on Baker Mayfield? And Browns fans, I've seen a lot of you angry. They should have been working on the extension right now. I think that the Browns, they played it perfectly. Baker has not done enough to deserve a big payday, but he has also done a little bit too much to sit there and do nothing with them at the same time. We'll talk about that next. Don't go anywhere.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
First Florist and Greenhouses is celebrating their 116th year in business. Their garden center opens for the season April 29th and is full of beautiful garden plants, vegetables, and more. You'll be amazed at the quality and volume of plants in stock. The First family thanks you for your support in their 116th year in business at the same location, 1306 Troy Street in Dayton. Call them at 937-223-1213 or visit them online at firstflorist.com. That's FURSTflorist.com.
Just like your favorite hometown baseball team, your Enterprise Roofing team is all about protecting home. We've been locally owned and operated since 1926. So, for high-quality roofing repair and replacement services you can count on down the stretch, call 937-240-2206 or visit roofup.com today. Enterprise Roofing is a proud supporter of the Cincinnati Reds.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. I'm a better neighbor because my service has taught me how important it is to be a team player. My training helps me in my classes when I give attention to detail to the task at hand. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my country safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard. Aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Hi, Pete Kasuji here to tell you it's time to start thinking green. Get out those shovels and rakes and take advantage of every sunny day this month so you don't have to play catch up next month. Get started on that landscape project you've been thinking about all winter. Plant a tree or a hedge, a flowering shrub, or maybe a few evergreens and ornamental grass around the porch or deck. It's also time to sow our famous green mat grass seed for a lush green lawn this summer. Sow that grass seed now and you'll be mowing by the middle of May. We've got everything you need for a great-looking yard or patio at our 6-acre garden center at 1309 Brant Pike. Come out and see why they call them greenhouses.
Hi, my name is Brian Sommers, and I'm an attorney with Kirkland and Sommers. We are a law firm dedicated to divorce and family law. We have 2 locations serving Miami Valley, one near Austin Landing and the other in Troy. Remember, we're not part-time divorce and family lawyers. We're full-time here for you.
Kirkland and Sommers, trusted and experienced, a family law practice dedicated to serving you. Visit them online at kirklandandsommers.com. That's Sommers with an O, kirklandandsommers.com.
Save up to $300 on top-rated brands like Sealy and Sleepy's at Mattress Firm right now. And you can get a free adjustable base when you spend $6.99 or more. Shop now.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER and ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's live, it's local, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers.
All right, we are back. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash, hanging out with you here on a Monday. I hope everyone had a great weekend. And yeah, I'm pretty pumped to be hanging out with you guys. The first 2 hours flew by. See, whenever we were off for a few days like that, Kev, like, you know, the first show back usually flies by. Not saying that the rest of the week goes by slow, but it doesn't feel like it's 5 o'clock. I am itching to get outside, though. Can't believe I'm excited to go do yard work when I get off, but it's such a beautiful day out. I really just can't wait to find something to do outside.
I should have cut my grass yesterday, but I didn't. I was being lazy. Random question. So yesterday it was pretty decent outside. My neighbor across the street, he sparked up his grill. He barbecues in the front, not in the backyard.
What's the backyard situation like? Is it fenced in? Does it like conjoin with other backyards?
Yeah, maybe? It's fenced in, but he like barbecues and
maybe he got a new grill. He's just letting the neighbors know. Look at me. People love showing that stuff off, man.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I shouldn't judge.
What kind of grill was it? Like, nice grill?
Yeah, it was a big boy.
That's what it is. And you're talking about it. You can't. You fell into his trap.
Okay, there it is. I fell for it. I was just weird.
If it was just one of them little, like, rusted out charcoal grills, he'd be in the back. But he wants you to know that he's cooking all his steaks and his chicken and everything on the bottom, and then he has the top rack, he has the baked potatoes, he has the asparagus, he has the broccoli, he has everything.
Okay.
The hobo packs, he has all that stuff rolling up on the top. You want some glazed onions? Okay, don't worry, I got the cast iron skillet over here on the side. Let me turn that baby on. And he wanted you to know that he is taking care of his entire family with his brand new grill. Maybe it was his birthday. Happy birthday to your neighbor. Maybe it was a new birthday gift. That's what that screams to me. He's showing up.
I had to ask before I was out here judging people, man. I had to ask.
I grew in the backyard.
Me too.
I grew in the back. Yeah. But yeah, you're right though. I don't think I've ever seen anyone grill in the front yard.
Yeah, he was out there getting it in. Like, I left to go make a run to the Kroger, came back, he was out there whipping it up,
taking orders from neighbors. Like, hey, yo, Kev.
Nah,
brought dog or burger.
I seen this little snotty nosed kid running across the street with a hot dog.
Probably holding the hot dog, no bun, hands all like you have the charcoal from the hot dog on your head. Oh yeah, kids are gross, man. I tell you, that's why I hate buffets.
Oh no, I'm done with buffets.
And then and I hate buffets too. And this is before COVID, especially. Like, and it wasn't because I was worried about getting sick. It's because you have those stupid parents who like to, oh, my 4-year-old's so independent. Look at them serving their own plate. Yeah, well, your kid's hands are in the mashed potatoes. If you could, I just saw the kid pick his nose, and now he's being independent. Well, his being independent is pretty damn gross. So if you could just serve your kid's plate so that there isn't a line forming at the Golden Corral, which I don't even know if those are still open. I don't know if that was a victim of COVID or not. But I'm going to say that if they're not open, it's more of a victim of the parents who like their kids to be independent and serve themselves after they wipe their snot off their hand. God, it's so gross. It's so gross. Oh, my dad hated that when we'd go to those types of places and all the kids are up there serving themselves. Those kids are disgusting. They're so gross. If I ever am unfortunate enough to have kids, if I'm ever unfortunate enough to have kids, they're going to have the cleanest hands. They're going to have the cleanest. They're going to be going touching nasty stuff. Like, they're going to serve their own plate. Normal, dude. Anyways, man, all over, which is totally fine. But hope everyone's having a good day. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers, the divorce and family law firm of the Miami Valley area, with 5 attorneys to meet your needs. And there's another shout out to our other sponsor, of course, Orion Sports Medicine. I appreciate their sponsorship as well. Great stuff there. Appreciate all the business we get on the show. But I want to kind of move over into this. So I'm the biggest Baker Mayfield fan out there. Everyone knows I love Baker Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
Baker Mayfield, it was news on Friday, of course. I was so ticked on Friday when that news came out. I'm like, I would have loved to have talked about that today, but it was an off day. Cleveland Browns exercised their 5th-year option on the contract of Baker Mayfield. They announced on Friday the move. Kev extends Baker Mayfield's contract in Cleveland through 2022, and he'll make $18.86 million. And the reason that is significant is because right now, with it being 2021, I thought that, this is interesting. If they give him an extension next offseason, that's going to be where Andrew Berry and the Browns have to become very creative with how they manage this roster. Because as we know with Baker Mayfield, at least early on in the first 3 years, he can win with really, really good talent. And we've seen when the talent's not there that it takes a lot for him to get the most out of him. And what happens when those weapons are taken away? What are you left with? And I think that's the big concern. Well, now this gives the Browns a little bit more flexibility. This roster is loaded for this year. Mm-hmm. And what I thought was going to happen is after adding the talent that they did, that I thought they were going to move on from Johnson and some of the other key pieces that they added this year. Every year there's those surprising cuts. Yeah. I thought that we were on the verge of seeing some of those for the Browns next offseason. Now that's not the case. This Browns team is actually set up for long-term success, Kev. Like in long-term in the NFL, let's be clear, long-term is not 10 years. Long-term is not even 5 years. Long-term in the NFL is 3 years. And so let's say that next offseason, even though they've exercised the 5th-year option, they can give him that let's say he balls out in 21.
Right.
They can give him that contract extension next offseason, and they're still in great shape for 22 because it's like Patrick Mahomes. This is going to be the first year that the Chiefs are hit with Patrick Mahomes' contract because yes, he got that big mega contract last offseason, but that was in his last year of his rookie deal. That goes into effect this year. So the Browns are going to be set up for this season, next season, and that first year of the remaining contracts for some of these big guys. The Browns right now are set up, Kev, for a very fun 4-year run. Year number 1 was extremely fun. The first year of Baker Mayfield was fun because it was like finally a quarterback that got the city of Cleveland to buy in and get the fan base to buy in. Second year, it felt like they took a step back because they got a little too cute. They were more worried about providing Baker with the receivers, and they did that at the expense of the offensive line. And then we saw them take a huge step back. They should not have hired Freddie Kitchens. We all know how that mess was. But overall, Baker, as impressive as he has been, and he has not been impressive enough to the point to where he has done what we saw Russell Wilson do, leading a team to a Super Bowl and winning early in his career. Patrick Mahomes coming off his 2nd straight Super Bowl appearance, but he also has Super Bowl MVP under his belt, back-to-back Super Bowls. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he's not Patrick Mahomes, not even close. But he doesn't have to be.
Right.
All he has to do is continue winning with this group at hand. Baker is facing a lot of pressure this year because now he had his success his rookie year, and he didn't handle it well. and then he had a down year, and then it motivated him to play real well this past year. I do think the coaching helped and everything kind of coming together, the better offensive line, the dominant run game, all that. So with that in mind, you have all those pieces right there. How does he handle coming off of a good year? How does Baker handle having a Super Bowl roster? People can mock me all you want. That roster, it's a Super Bowl roster. The problem is the only key part of that roster that people are saying is keeping it from being a Super Bowl roster is Baker Mayfield. So Baker Mayfield's the X factor. If Baker Mayfield balls out this year, Kev, he could be in the MVP conversation. Baker Mayfield has to play consistent football. Last year, he was too inconsistent. Had too many games of 180 to 190 yards. And then that back half, those last 8 games is when if we would have saw 16 straight games of what we saw the back half, Kev, he wouldn't have won the MVP. He would have been in the MVP conversation. You can mock me all you want, but he threw for a ton of touchdowns and he didn't turn the ball over. His team was beating good teams. That's how you get in the MVP conversation to begin with. So that's how Andy Dalton got in the MVP conversation, early, during that 5 straight playoff, run for Cincinnati. I have no problem. A lot of Baker fans are mad. I'm one of the biggest Baker fans out there. I'm not even mad. This is good for Cleveland because what's the rush in giving Baker a huge contract extension? Has he earned it? He's earned the conversation. He hasn't earned the contract extension yet because there's still a lot of to be determined when it comes to what he can do. We know he could play. He's better than anything they've had in the last 20 years, but that bar is pretty low. So better than what we've had the last 20 years. I respect Andrew Berry for saying, well, just because we're Cleveland, we're not going to act like we're Cleveland. Just because we've been a joke of a franchise doesn't mean we're going to act like a joke of a franchise and bow down because we finally found a quarterback that looks like a quarterback, right? Right. Like the inexperienced Browns could have said, oh my God, we have our guy. Here's an empty, here's a blank check, fill it out. That's what they could have done. And they're being smart about it. Buffalo, I'm concerned, is doing the non-smart thing and talking about an extension already when you've only seen one really good year. They need to see a little bit more too. There is nothing wrong with exercising this 5th-year option. People are saying, see, he's not good enough to get the extension. This works out. This is actually going to set him up. I think Baker getting the huge contract extension right now would hurt him more than help him because now this gives him an extra year of being paid about 18, 19 mil. The team now has the flexibility to keep that talent around you for an extra year. And my God, imagine you get to an AFC title game, get to a Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl. That's where the big money is going to come for Baker Mayfield. He is set up to have success. If he fails for the first time in my lifetime, the quarterback for the Browns, if he fails, it will be on nobody else but him. The Browns have put Baker in position to succeed. And if he doesn't, it is only on him, Kev. It is on nobody else. It's not like in years past when we always blamed the Browns for being a bad organization. The Browns are doing their best good organization impersonation right now. I'm very impressed with what they're doing. I have no problem with this. They also exercised the 5th-year option on Denzel Ward, who I thought they were just going to move on from completely. I like that decision as well.
Yeah, I like it too if I'm a Browns fan. I like the fact that you lock these guys up and these guys have been with the team. And that's one of the things that I like about football. I like a team that makes good draft picks and takes care of their own. I don't necessarily believe in the adage of like, all right, man, let's win free agency. 9 times out of 10, when you're the team that spends the most money in free agency, you end up getting the short end of the stick. I say free agency is you supplement your team with the guys that have already been a part of your culture, have been a part of the rebuilding process. And these 2 guys have been a part of that process. To Baker Mayfield's point, let's not get it twisted. Eventually, he's going to be cashing that check for each year. That's going to be roughly about $30 million. He's going to get there. If everything goes the way that Browns fans see it going, but just to say he plays exactly how he did last year, he will get a contract close to $30 million a year. And them exercising the 5th-year option is the right thing to do. And I agree with you about Buffalo. The Browns are doing what you should do. And be honest, I think the Bills are starving more than the Browns are for a quarterback. Absolutely, because they're still talking about Jim Kelly, and he's the best guy they had since Jim Kelly. And they're talking about doing the contract extension. We talked about it on this show that I think that Josh Allen will get the biggest contract of the Josh Allen, Bakers, and Lamars. I think he's going to get the biggest contract out of all those guys because Josh Allen.
Okay, yeah.
And I think that's going to happen because I think the way that the Ravens are structured, I don't think they're going to get Lamar his money, but I don't think it's going to be as big as Josh Allen's. I think that the Bills are starving and they're just so happy to have a winner and have a guy that's competent. But you know what else? The Browns have a lot of guys on the team that can play football. I'm not sure that the Buffalo Bills have a ton of great football players. I think that Stephon Diggs is a great football player. I think that Josh Allen has potential to be a great football player. I know guys like Mike Hyde are still around there. They have good football players, but I think that the Browns have elite football players. I think when Denzel Ward is on the field, he's elite. We know that Myles Garrett is elite. OBJ, as much as I rag on him, when he's playing and catching the ball, he's elite. So they have more elite guys. So if Baker Mayfield is willing, to quote unquote accept this extension, which he really has no choice but to accept the extension, let's be clear, his role with the team will continue to grow. And like you said, it's still going to leave them wiggle room to keep guys around for this window before they have to pay him the big bucks and him being the supreme focal point of the team and then supplementing him around young guys. And then he becomes the veteran in the room and everything like that, as opposed to, quote unquote, a cog in the wheel. So this is good for the Browns. Both of these moves are good for the Browns because just because you exercise the 5-year contract on these dudes, that don't mean that Denzel Ward's going to be there for the quote unquote long term. That doesn't mean that. That just mean like, oh, yeah, he'll be here for the 5th year. And that doesn't mean Baker Mayfield's going to get the big contract. That just means like, all right, we're locked into you for this year. Let's continue to show and prove. So it keeps both feet to the fire. It says, hey, Baker, we like what you did. Here's a reward for what you did. Now keep grinding if you really want this $30 million.
Yeah. And last year too, the thing that, and again, when you talk about showing improvement, Baker, when I said he was inconsistent, with that being said, he was inconsistent based on how he started versus how he finished. But how he finished, what I liked about the trajectory of Baker last year was from where he started to where he finished, every week he got better. It wasn't play great, play bad, play great, play bad. In fact, the last 7 weeks of the season, Kev, he was on par with, I know this sounds stupid, Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. In fact, the last half of the season, the only two quarterbacks that played better than Baker Mayfield was Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. That's it. From a QBR standpoint, from a yard standpoint, from a touchdown standpoint, from a not throwing an interception, Baker Mayfield, and again, people will not give him credit for it because it's Baker, because it's the Browns, and will not get credit for it on this show because people can't stand me and they can't stand Baker and they especially can't stand someone they can't stand talking about someone they can't stand. So when you add that element in there, Baker won't get credit for it. But when you look at that, when I pulled that up today, I was like, you've got to be kidding. Like that's crazy. Like, we knew he was getting better. And was it because OBJ was gone? Maybe not. I'm not willing to go there yet. I think that if they start out slow with OBJ this year, then that's a red flag, and they have to say, okay, we tried it, it's not working, and move on. I do think there's a lot to be said about at that point, everything started to click. Their best week of practice, they said, that week in practice, everything clicked with OBJ. And it's just unfortunate that as things clicked, that very first game is when he goes out with that season-ending injury, and that they think that their offense would have been even more explosive. But that offense was pretty damn explosive, even without OBJ, if that's the case. So I like that they're not dependent on OBJ. I think that the problem that you have if you're Buffalo, I think Josh Allen's dependent on Stephon Diggs. Baker can lose their number one receiver in OBJ and have an MVP caliber second half of the season last year. Can Josh Allen do that if Stephon Diggs is out? We don't know. And by the way, Josh Allen's great. I'm not trying to do this whole Josh Allen's not great thing, but I just feel that with the way Baker has played, is it just because people don't like him, Kev, because he's polarizing? Him and Josh Allen, numbers-wise, Josh Allen had higher numbers because he had to throw more because they didn't have a run game. Baker had less pass attempts, but was more efficient. He had less pass attempt, just as efficient, but he had a run game, and he's handing the ball off a lot more than what obviously Josh Allen was. I'm curious if they give Josh Allen a run game, what will his numbers look like? I guarantee you, him and Baker are a lot more even than people are going to try to give Baker credit for. The numbers just popped out more for Josh Allen because they didn't have a run game. He dropped back way more than Baker, so keep that in mind. That's something I'm going to keep an eye on, and I hope the Bills address the run game in the draft because I don't want any excuses. You think Josh Allen's going to get paid higher than others, but Baker's set up better than Josh Allen because if Baker can capitalize on the roster he has, he might be in position to be the highest paid out of all of these guys if he earns it. But nothing's guaranteed right now. But he's set up better than the others. I think he's set up better than Lamar. He's set up better than Josh Allen, because if you put Lamar with the weapons Baker has, or you put Josh Allen with the weapons Baker has, and I'm not just talking offense, I'm talking about look at the defense as well. The sky's the limit. I mean, this is a Super Bowl caliber roster, and everyone's doing but with the Browns because of Baker Mayfield. And I think that this could be a very fun. If Baker can silence the critics the way he did last year, Cleveland could be the feel-good story, or the around here, the not so feel-good story of 2021.
I'm looking at Buffalo stats. I'm almost positive, but I want to make sure that Josh Allen wasn't the leading rusher for them as well. Because they run a ton of zone read with Josh Allen. Okay, so Josh Allen was their second leading rusher with 421 yards.
Yep.
So
it's like that Lamar thing. They are their offense.
Yeah.
Baker's not the Browns' offense.
Yeah.
So that's a good point.
When Zach, I keep wanting to call him Zach Morris, but his name's not Zach Morris. It's Zach.
I ain't Saved by the Bell.
Zach Moss, the running back from Utah. When he went down, their running game went Kaputsville, and that's when they started dropping back 40 times a game and everything like that. We're gonna see, man. I'm very interested to see how this whole plays out with these 3 contract situations. I'm still gonna stand firm that Josh Allen's gonna be the highest paid out of them. That doesn't necessarily mean he's the best out of them, or that he's gonna win a Super Bowl before the other guys or anything like that. I just think the Buffalo Bills are just that in love with him. That's why they're gonna fork over the big bucks.
Yeah, that's the thing too. And let me ask you this before we close this out. What is it, because Baker talks so much smack coming out? What is it about Baker that his numbers are on par with everyone else? Why is he?
That's how fans are. That's how fans are. I mean, look where we're at. We're in Dayton, Ohio. Baker planted a flag on the AstroTurf field up there in Columbus. Strike 1. Then he goes drafted by the Cleveland Browns. We are very close to Cincinnati Bengal country. That's strike 2. He had a bad second year. That's strike 3. There ain't no more. That's it.
No, strike 4. Strike 4 is the Bengals bragged all the time about how Baker would never get to the playoffs. Then he got to the playoffs. Yeah, well, he'll never win in the playoffs. And he wins in his very first playoff try. While the Bengals, the only thing they had left in their argument was, well, we made the playoffs 5 straight years. And Baker gets a win in his very first playoff appearance ever against the Pittsburgh Steelers. How about that? I just like to bring that up. Hey, remember when Baker beat your Steelers in the playoffs? I mean, I think I'm on a streak of 5 straight shows where I bring that up. That's my goal.
Congratulations.
It's going to be a record. I'm going to keep bringing it up. So there's that. But no, nonetheless, the Browns made a smart decision here. I think they're set up. The Denzel Ward thing, too. I think Ward's very similar to Baker, where we know what they're both capable of. Can they sustain it? Can Ward stay healthy? I love what the Browns did. I love what they added to the back, to their defense, especially when they, rebuilt that secondary, and there's depth there, too. The Browns secondary was actually pretty good, even with all the youth. It was just injuries is what was keeping the Browns secondary from being one of the tops in football. But now when you look at it, they have guys like Troy Hill, you have John Johnson, you have Denzel Ward, of course, you have Grant Delpit, there's a lot, Greedy Williams. I think right now Denzel Ward, that 5th-year option is we need to see one more year. You need to prove you could stay healthy, and we're willing to give you the money before we pay an outsider to come in, because the Browns, like you said, are good at paying their guys internally. Plus, there's more with the fans, that sense of pride of we're winning with our guys. Mm-hmm. And Cleveland's been they're a joke of an organization, but they've really buttoned it up over the last since that 0-16 season, and that's even with the transition, over to you look at Andrew Berry taking over. The Browns have really cleaned up over there. They clean up nice.
Linebacker or corner in the draft, which would you rather have for the Browns?
Oh, linebacker, the corner, they're fine. They have depth at that. I mean, it wouldn't hurt. You can never have too many secondary guys with the importance of that. But you look at that division, Lamar can't throw. Big Ben's old, and, it's not like Joe Burrow is going to be healthy enough to play 2 games against the Browns this year. So they played 2 last year. But, it's not a very overwhelming quarterback division that I think they need another secondary. They need a linebacker because you need to be able to contain Joe Burrow. You need to be able to contain Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow's not a deep ball thrower, so you're going to have some guys that can play well in the middle. I just think linebacker is very important for the Browns right now. They have to figure that out. But anyways, all right, we'll step away for a few moments. I want to talk a little Reds baseball on the other side. Let me ask you this. We thought Brian Price was the worst because he didn't win. But let me ask you what's worse. What is worse, losing with no talent or losing with talent? We'll discuss on the other side. Don't go anywhere. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mainly clear, a high around 75. Tonight will be mostly clear, a low near 55. And tomorrow's going to be partly cloudy, a high around 83. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
The Meyer Distribution Center in Tip City, Ohio is hiring for warehouse positions in all units, which include flexible schedules, best-in-class benefits, enhanced starting wages, and $500 sign-on bonus. Interested candidates should call 937-669-9109, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday, or walk in for an interview. Walk-in interviews are strongly encouraged and available Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Call 937-669-9109 for an interview. Meyer is an equal opportunity employer.
Your home for fun food, sports, and spirits is also the home for value. Frickers Everyday Value begins on Monday with boneless frickin' chicken wings, 69 cents each. Tuesday offers traditional frickin' chicken wings, 69 cents each. On Wednesday, enjoy a steak dinner for $6.99. And Thursday, frickin' chicken chunks for $6.99. Download the Frickers mobile app to receive loyalty points, free food, and order online. Today and every day, the home for everyday values is the home for fun food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
Here's football legend Howie Long for Skechers Arch Fit shoes.
Do you like comfort? Of course you do. Everyone does. But if you've never tried Arch Fit shoes from Skechers, you're missing out on next level comfort. Saying you like comfort but not trying Arch Fit is like saying you like Italian food but you've never tried pasta. You're missing out on the number one thing. Because with Arch Fit, Skechers created a whole new kind of comfort. They teamed up with podiatrists who used over 20 years of data to create a shoe that provides total foot and arch support for all-day comfort. Arch Fit distributes support across the arch no matter what foot type you have. You don't need an arch problem to love how they feel. And you say you have a passion for comfort but haven't tried them? That's like saying you're a sports fan but have never watched football. It makes no sense. So if you're the kind of person who claims to like comfort, stop what you're doing and try a pair of Arch Fit exclusively from Skechers. Then you'll finally understand true comfort.
See all the styles of comfortable, machine-washable Arch Fit shoes now at Skechers.com.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Hello, I'm a unicorn. Yes, one of those. Everyone's trying to find me, but most can't, unless there's ZipRecruiter. If you've hired before, you understand it's quite hard to find a unicorn. You know, someone who's perfect for your role. So how does ZipRecruiter do it so quickly? ZipRecruiter's technology matches your job up with the right people for your role and invites them to apply. So you get brilliant candidates fast.
Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/hire. That's ZipRecruiter.com/hire.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byers. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
Game 1 tonight between the Reds and the Dodgers. The Reds are on the road. I'm sorry, they're against the Cardinals. They got the Dodgers coming up. I said that incorrectly. They have that. So there's 3 at St. Louis, followed behind 3 coming up at the Cardinals. Or they just wrapped up 3. I'm all over the place. Holy smokes! I need to stop drinking during the commercial break. There we go. So the Reds just wrapped up.
Music, that's all.
Yeah, the Reds just wrapped up a 3-game series being swept at St. Louis. They got 3 at the Dodgers starting tonight. In fact, 9:40 the pregame is going to be a late one. 10:10 will be the first pitch. Tyler Mahle will be on the mound, and that's a big one. He's pitched outstanding for the Reds. Not a whole lot of great to talk about with this Reds team right now, despite the very hot start to the season. We can kill that music because this ain't a good thing to talk about. It's too upbeat. I'm a little frustrated with the Cincinnati Reds because, I remember when the Reds blew everything up. And they're moving on from fan favorites like Jay Bruce and Brandon Phillips, and the Todd Frazier, and there was just a lot of fan favorites that the Reds moved on from. Johnny Cueto and Mike Leake, and so on and so on. Matt Latos, one of my favorites. Psycho. I'm joking. He wasn't one of my favorites, but anyways. I remember during that stretch, fans were losing their mind. They were just upset, and no fan base is excited about a rebuild. But there was a certain point throughout the rebuild where I started asking myself, what's the direction that this team's going in? And you could say that they're trying to put a winner on the field, but it just felt like the Reds had no plan. And I feel like they have no plan right now. And that's what's frustrating. And my thing is I was more comfortable with the Reds when they were rebuilding than what I am right now. Because when you are rebuilding, Kevin, you're losing a lot of games. The only place else you can go is up. You can only get better. But what's concerning is that the Reds are no longer rebuilding. I heard I was listening to a show earlier today and said, well, the Reds are still within the rebuild. No, they're not. Rebuilding teams don't go out and get Sonny Gray and Trevor Bauer. Rebuilding teams don't have Cy Young winning pitchers on their rosters. I mean, they don't. Rebuilding teams don't go and add Moustakas and add Castellanos. And, rebuilding teams, usually when you are adding talent like that, that signals the end of the rebuild. The rebuild was trying to figure out what stars you already have and then filling the gaps with free agents. And when the Reds started adding those free agents, I was excited. I'm like, you had Castellanos, you have Moustakas, you had Sonny Gray and Trevor Bauer, and there was talks of them potentially being aggressive. I mean, where we were a year ago with the talk of this team to where we are now is very depressing. The talk of potentially going out, landing a Francisco Lindor. I'm like, man, this team is being progressive. They're being aggressive. They're going at it. They're talking about adding not just good players, but great players. I mean, I love this. They were involved in a lot of those trade rumors. They were involved in a lot of big names. And to go from that to where they are now, I think the Reds are in the worst situation that they could be in. I think they are in a worse situation now than what they were when they were rebuilding with Brian Price. Because when you were rebuilding with Brian Price, you were losing, and you were losing for a purpose. You understood why you were losing. Well, you're rebuilding. A lot of young players, new to the big leagues. Not a lot of money being spent on free agents. I mean, they were going out and getting they were bringing back Arroyo. They were getting Jason Marquis. They were just getting old veteran guys just trying to plug some bleeding spots in the rotation. Keep in mind, I mean, if you remember, Amir Garrett and Michael Lorenzen came in as starters. Remember Cody Reed, Michael Lorenzen, Amir Garrett all came in together. Cody Reed's now with the Rays. Michael Lorenzen is someplace lifting with an injury, wearing his Vans that he likes to show off. And Amir Garrett's walking guys and giving up homers. Those were your rebuild guys. And the Reds are in a worse situation now than what they were in when they were rebuilding. And I have to ask, is David Bell doing a better job than Brian Price? No. Homer, they made the playoffs last year. I hate to be that guy, but I don't care about, like, last year didn't feel like a season. Didn't start till July. You only played 60 games. You only made the playoffs because it got expanded. And then when you got to the playoffs, you reminded everybody why you only won 2 more games than you lost during a 60-game season. Because if we're 60 games in right now and the Reds are 2 games above 500, that's good for the Reds, but no one's bragging about only being at 2 games above 500 in a regular season, 60 games in. I think the Reds are more disappointing now than at any point during the rebuild. And I know I'm being Mr. Negative right now after being Mr. Positive to start the season. And it's just depressing that they are where they're at right now. And there's a lot of baseball left to be played. And maybe they sweep, maybe they sweep the Dodgers and my tone will change. But it's not going to change because this is what the Reds do. They lose, and the 162-game season is going to be the ups and the downs, but it's different with this team. What's this Reds team's identity? At least last year we knew that they were a pitching team. You had Luis Castillo, you had Sonny Gray, you had Trevor Bauer. You knew that was their identity. I don't know what their identity is this year. They're getting good starting pitching on some series, and then the same series they're getting good starting pitching, their bullpen is blowing it up in their face. And then the next series, you'll get horrible starting pitching, but the bullpen comes up clutch like they did against the Cardinals. And then the bats only are producing runs in the final innings of the game to make it look interesting. But really, the Reds got blown out in every game in the Cardinals series. But the Reds bats would come alive, 8th and 9th inning, and then the score would be a lot closer than what the game actually was. I think the Reds are in a way worse situation now than what they were during the rebuild. And I have to ask, what's worse? Losing with no talent or losing with talent? And I'm not saying Brian Price is a better manager than David Bell, but I don't know if we ever got to see the real Brian Price, because Brian Price got to take over a fun roster, and then Brian Price, as fun as it was to take over that roster, he had to bid farewell. He had to say goodbye to the guys that he was excited about managing. No more Johnny Cueto. No more Mike Leake. They moved on from Brandon Phillips. They moved on from Jay Bruce. They moved on from Todd Frazier. I mean, you move on from all your main guys, and then you have the nerve to look at Brian Price and say, yeah, buddy, what's going on here? Why are we winning? You bring up these weird guys like Jumbo Diaz, and he looks the way his name sounds. I mean, like, what is wrong with you? Like, so everyone out there that bashed Brian Price, I'm like, Brian Price is actually doing what he's supposed to, losing games so you can replenish the farm system with these top draft picks, and you move on. But you've had Hunter Green for how long? What's going on there? What are we doing with him? Keep in mind, Hunter Green came in with the charisma, came in with the flash, came in with the shock and awe. I mean, the Reds were on the map for drafting him, and I feel like we've just kind of forgot about him. He's just another guy. I'm really uncomfortable with this organization right now because I want to be excited, and I felt we were on our way to doing that. And I think what's more depressing now is that we are no longer rebuilding. Reds fans, stop saying that they're rebuilding. They are not rebuilding. They're just bad. And that's concerning. And I don't think that this roster is bad. I think that if you had the right manager, this roster could click. The right manager, like this Reds team is not perfect, but they shouldn't be as bad as what they are. You shouldn't be getting swept at home. You shouldn't be getting swept in the division against an average to below average Cardinals team. The Reds are talented. They have the talent. This isn't a bad roster. This is just a bad team right now, and it's because of how they're being managed. And it's not just because they're losing, but it's how they're losing. Like David Bell, how have you not been able to establish an identity with this team yet? Losing Trevor Bauer should not have changed your identity all that much, because with Luis Castillo and Sonny Gray, I keep hearing about how great Derek Johnson is. Luis Castillo, I keep saying, oh man, if they go out and get this guy, Derek Johnson's going to turn him around. Well, how about you turn around your own guys? How about you figure out how to maximize Luis Castillo? Because since the first half of 2 seasons ago, he has been very average to below average since then. And it's very difficult to watch. I just don't get it. I don't understand. I'm concerned because I think when you have talent and are losing, how do you get out of that? The only way to get out of that is getting rid of the good players you have now, and then you're back to where you started with Brian Price, and then you got to start it all over again. Folks, I can't handle another 5 years of a rebuild. But I think we're at the point right now where you got to ask yourself, even if this team starts playing well, then what? Did they make it? Did they have a record payroll just to barely squeak by to be fine? Did you spend $160 million 2 off seasons ago and brag about the record payroll just to be a 500 ball club and get knocked out in the wild card of the first round? Like, what's the big plan here? Don't say, well, we want to win a World Series. I don't want to hear that you want to win a World Series when you're not doing the work to become a World Series team. And stop for those people who are those just obnoxious apologists of David Bell. I don't know what to tell you. Brian Price won 41% of his games with the Reds. David Bell has won 47%. But when you look at the season by season breakdown, they were 75 and 87 his first season. They were 31 and 29 last year, and they're 9 and 12 right now and are in the midst of a 7-game losing streak. And a lot of baseball left to be played. I am not calling for David Bell's job, not even close. But if David Bell doesn't, there's no excuse to not win with this roster this season, with the division being as weak as it is. The freaking Pirates, who have a $40 million total payroll, are ahead of the Cincinnati Reds in the standings.
You read my mind.
Who are just now bragging about the $160 million payroll that they put together last offseason. What's there to feel good about? And I'm trying to be positive because I love my Reds. It's just, it sucks. At least when they were rebuilding and losing, I was like, yeah, well, they're losing for a purpose. It's all going to come together. But when you're good and losing, that's more deflating and defeating than anything else, Kev.
More surprising 9 and 12 team, the Reds or the Braves?
The Braves, because they have more talent. They have more talent, and there was more expectations for them. There was a lot of, the Reds have a lot of talent, and they didn't have a lot of expectations coming in. And I think that's sad because I think if any other franchise had this roster, there would be a little bit more excitement about this team. But the Reds have trained critics and trained media to not count on the Reds, and that's very depressing considering how when I hear older generation fans talk about their Reds team, I feel like we're going to be robbed of that. The perception of the Reds over the next 10 to 15 years is going to be drastically different than what it was for me growing up because I always got to hear about those great Big Red Machine teams. It's going to be very hard to convince kids 10, 15 years from now that you still need to love this team because of the Big Red Machine. Because who have we grown up watching? The most exciting thing for me was when the Reds signed Ken Griffey and didn't do anything with him. And the Reds made the playoffs during the Dusty Baker era, but then the Reds fans and the Reds organization thought that they were better than what they were and decided that, oh, no, we got to move on and find someone who can come in here and actually win in the playoffs, and they haven't been back to the playoffs since. I don't count last year. I just don't. Because I don't think last year's team makes it over a full 162-game season. They were just too inconsistent, which is what we're seeing this year.
Well, I'm going to count last year because everybody played basically the same amount of games. I did want to ask you about that whole situation with the 7-inning no-hitter that went down yesterday. Did you see that?
No.
Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. I want to make sure I'm getting the
Were they classified it as a no-hitter?
No,
right?
They didn't classify it as a no-hitter. They classified it as
a 7-inning no-hitter.
No. Dang, what is it called? Here we go. 7 hitless innings, Bumgarner, and shortened win. I forget the actual terminology they called it because they said they haven't had a game like this since 2005.
So the 7 hitless innings that you're talking about,
Yes.
too. And again, where Madison Bumgarner throws 7 hitless innings and a shortened win for the Diamondbacks, though it won't go in the books as a no-hitter. So Bumgarner, he had his no-hit stuff, even though Major League Baseball is going to say in the record book that he didn't. I guess Bumgarner threw like a 7-inning no-hitter.
Yes.
An achievement that won't officially count, but completed a dominant day for the day of the Diamondbacks by pitching for a 7-0 win over the Braves, speaking of the Braves, and a doubleheader sweep on Sunday. So because of that doubleheader rule where you only play 7 innings, they won in 7 innings. It was a no-hitter, but it won't be classified as a no-hitter. And see, this is why, by the way, why are we doing this year? Why are we doing doubleheaders and only doing 7-inning doubleheaders? These are adults. We don't treat our kids that way. The kids play full, whatever. What's the full length of innings for kids? Anyways, it doesn't matter. The point is these are grown men being paid a lot of money. Why are you bailing them out by having them play 2 innings less than everyone else? These are supposed to be doubleheaders, make-up games, full games. This was my argument last year when the Cardinals, remember they had the outbreak, and they said, well, don't worry, you'll just make it up with a bunch of doubleheaders. Well, they ended up playing like significantly less innings than everyone else in the division. Now, they didn't make the playoffs, but if they would have made the playoffs, that would have been concerning. Like, well, they got bailed out. That was less innings for them to blow it up.
Right.
I think that's wrong. I don't think it should be counted as a no-hitter because you only pitch 7 innings, but I also don't think that's not the story to me. The story is that you're actually playing 7-inning games. I think it's stupid. I do not think you should be playing 7-inning games, and that's a very impressive feat by Bumgarner. But Kev, that's ridiculous. it was a no-hitter. It was a win, but it's not going to be counted as a no-hitter because they're only playing 7-inning games, but they should not be playing 7-inning games.
I think it should be classified as a no-hitter. They know this going into it. Everybody that played in the game, everybody that managed in the game, everybody that went to the game, everybody that broadcasted the game knew that it was only going to be 7 innings. So the simple fact that he went out there and had his best stuff working, he pitched a no-hitter. I think it should go down as a no-hitter. I know technically other players have had no-hitters go to the 9th inning. Well, this is classified as a full game. So he pitched a no-hitter in my book.
Yeah, Brian Schwederman says, shout out to Brian, by the way, and it's a notable achievement.
That's the word I was looking for. I can't find it in this article.
And by the way, my boss says that all the time. He never congratulates. It's a notable achievement. It's a notable achievement. Not bad, Kinner. Good job. But no, notable achievement. Brian Schwederman coming into the clutch. So there you go. Brian, I'm not going to count that as a save. That's just going to be a notable achievement on your end. So there you go. But no, I'm glad you brought that up. But that's absolutely by the way, I have no problem with baseball acknowledging that it's not a no-hitter because you only played 7 innings. But why are we playing 7 innings? I also think it's a slap in the face to Bumgarner because, it's not that we didn't want to play the 2 more innings. It's just a stupid rule. I really, really am frustrated with that. It's not I don't know. I get why they did it last year. Last year was last year. And I'm not saying that the virus is gone, but if you are going to play this season with fans and play the full 162-game season, then you need to play it as if it's an actual season without COVID. If you're going to act like COVID's not around, you need to play as if COVID's not around. Why? So you're going to play with sold-out stadiums in Texas. Mm-hmm. You are going to play the full 162-game season, but we're only going to do 7-inning doubleheaders because COVID. What? That doesn't make any sense. Now, if they would have said we're going to play a shorter season this year because of COVID, and we're only going to do 7-inning doubleheaders because of COVID, then I would at least say, okay, whatever. I think it's dumb, but at least it would fall under the COVID umbrella. Right. But you can't throw all the COVID precautions. They're not testing anymore. You're not doing any of that stuff. You can't throw all that stuff out the window and then for this say, COVID. That doesn't make any sense. That literally doesn't make any sense at all. Unbelievable. Schwederman says, I collect those. I have a notable achievement case at my house. There you go. Me too. They're all hung up behind me. I don't have any. So there's that. But good call on that, Kev. Way to bring that. I forgot all about that. But no, I mean, I'm with you, though. It has to be a no-hitter.
It is. They knew that this was going to happen. They played a 7-inning game. Everybody knew it was going to be a 7-inning game.
So you know what?
So why isn't it a no-hitter?
Baseball, they were counting on people to manage a game like David Bell where your starter doesn't leave the 5th inning. So there's that. David Bell would have never allowed that to happen. 5 shutout, hitless innings. David Bell's going to yank you because you threw a ball and it looks like you're wearing down. And the computer said to do it. So
who's to know the next time he's going to have his best stuff like that? You're robbing him of a major achievement, man.
Yeah, but I think they got the win.
No, man.
Yeah, but that's all that matters. I mean, from a team perspective, we got the win. Right now, as a fan of a team who's lost 7 straight, I want the damn win. I don't give the hell with a no-hitter. I know what you're saying. It's like,
when you do a no-hitter, don't they send all your stuff directly to, I was like Canton, to Cooperstown?
Yeah, but they are going to send his stuff to Canton because it doesn't matter because it wasn't a no-hitter.
Come on, man.
Oh, unbelievable. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash hanging out with you here on a Monday, and I'll have the Reds line up for you on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
First Florist and Greenhouses is celebrating their 116th year in business. Their garden center opens for the season April 29th and is full of beautiful garden plants, vegetables, and more. You'll be amazed at the quality and volume of plants in stock. The First family thanks you for your support in their 116th year in business at the same location, 1306 Troy Street in Dayton. Call them at 937-223-1213 or visit them online at firstflorist.com. That's FURST florist.com.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Mow like a pro with Hustler Turf zero-turn mowers. They engineer their mowers to be maintenance and service friendly for the everyday homeowner while not sacrificing the build and cut quality they're known for. From the heavy-duty frame to the welded steel deck to their trademark smooth track steering, Hustler Turf zero-turn mowers deliver professional grade cut quality for a perfectly manicured lawn. Come in to Small Engine Service Pros to see the Hustler difference for yourself today. Small Engine Service Pros, 2030 North Dayton Lakeview Road, Route 235 in New Carlisle.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Heber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
Save big money with 11% off everything now at Menards. Get a clean edge around gardens and flower beds with Master Gardener Lawn Edging. It blocks the spreading of grass and weeds and is perfect for straight or curved edges. All lawn and garden supplies, including Master Gardener Lawn Edging, are 11% off. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through May 1st. Savings are mail and rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Mark your calendars, folks. The Home and Outdoor Living Expo is here. Brought to you by Bath Creations, Weaver Barnes, and Giant Factory Outlet. Starting April 30th and May 1st and 2nd, and May 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Dayton Mall. 2 great weekends. Talk to the experts for all your home improvement needs, including kitchen, bath, sunrooms, windows, siding, home decor, and more. The Home and Outdoor Living Expo at the Dayton Mall starting April 30th. Brought to you by Bath Creations, Weaver Barnes, and Giant Factory Outlet. Visit eventsllc.net for more.
Have you experienced foot or ankle pain during or after sports, running, or exercising at the gym? Those nagging aches in your foot or ankle simply won't go away on their own. Podiatric physicians are the most qualified doctors to care for your feet based on their education, training, and experience. Your podiatrist can provide you with important foot care solutions, shoe inserts, and show you how to support your feet and ankles so you're able to compete or exercise comfortably. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality foot and ankle care. Ask if your podiatrist is a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association so you know you are being treated by the very best. The Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association has been serving the profession and the public for over 100 years, and we look forward to caring for Ohioans' feet for another 100 years. To find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Nissan believes you deserve a car that thrills you. So we have to ask, does your car thrill you? When you hit the pedal, do you get something back? A chill in your spine, goosebumps on your goosebumps. When you take off, do your fingers tighten around the steering wheel? Does your heart beat in your stomach and your breath catch in your chest? Does driving make you feel alive? Because it should. And if your car doesn't thrill you, ours will. This is the new Nissan.
How can I feel as good at the end of the day as I felt at the beginning?
The All-33 Backstrong chair makes it possible.
Well, how about tech that can triple the size of my monitor when I'm on the go?
With the Mobile Pixel Trio, it's possible.
How can my small business make a strong impression?
It's possible with the iPostal One virtual mailbox. Welcome to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or at staplesconnect.com. Staples Connect, the working and learning store.
Audible Plus is everything you want to hear. Listen all you want to thousands of select originals, audiobooks, podcasts, and more. Sign up for a free Audible Plus trial at audible.com.
All right, we welcome you back. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash as we wrap things up here on a Monday. So late Reds baseball tonight. Reds at the Dodgers. They've lost 7 straight and are looking to stop the bleeding. And, well, that's the thing. When you've lost 7 straight, going on the road to play the best, most explosive team in baseball is probably not what the doctor ordered, but the Reds are going to have to fight through it anyways. They are in danger of bringing back a 10-game losing streak back to Great American Ballpark, where they have the Cubs waiting for them on Friday night. But I think the Reds I think they'll get one of these 3, but it would be typical Reds, though, Kev, to take 2 or 3 or sweep. It would not surprise me. That's how up and down this team has been. Reds, Dodgers tonight, 10:10 the first pitch, 9:40 the pregame right here on Dayton's Home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio. Here's your lineup for tonight. Alex Blandino will get the start at first base, and he will bat first. No Joey Votto. Alex Blandino at first, batting second, and in left field is Jesse Winker. In right field and batting third is Nick Castellanos. In the leadoff spot, one of the worst hitters in all of baseball, Eugenio Suarez, who will start at shortstop. Being kind of a smart, fill in the blank there. Suarez really struggling. But again, David Bell right now feels confident that he could swing out of this slump, and I think Reds fans as a whole are all pulling for that. So Blandino at first, batting first. Jesse Winker in left field, batting second. In right field, batting third is Nick Castellanos. Batting fourth in the cleanup spot, and at shortstop is Eugenio Suarez. In center field, batting fifth is Nick Senzel. Behind home plate tonight and batting sixth is Tyler Stevenson. Jonathan India is still in the lineup tonight after being hit in the head yesterday by a pitch against the Cardinals. He's batting seventh, and he'll start at second base. Batting eighth and at third base is Kyle Farmer, and pitching and batting ninth is Tyler Malley. One more time, Blandino, Winker, Castellanos, 1, 2, and 3. 4, 5, and 6 is Suarez, Senzel, and Stevenson. And 7, 8, and 9, India, Farmer, and Malley. That is your Reds lineup as the Reds look to end a 7-game losing streak tonight against the Dodgers at L.A. Not going to be an easy task, but man, it would be typical Reds to take 2 or 3, or heaven forbid, sweep the Dodgers nonetheless. Last note here on tonight's matchup, before tomorrow night's game, So tomorrow night, Dodger Stadium, the Reds will honor Trevor Bauer, and he will receive his 2020 NL Cy Young Award. The Dodgers waited to award Trevor Bauer with this to have the Reds in town. Again, Trevor Bauer, the only Reds pitcher in Reds history to win the Cy Young Award. I did find that pretty cool that the Dodgers tried to line it up with the Reds being in town as well. Luckily, Bauer not starting, though, so they don't have to face him. But again, that'll be tomorrow night. Again, he is the first Reds pitcher in franchise history to win the Cy Young Award. Kev, good stuff today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Reds, Dodgers tonight, 10-10 the first pitch. What are you shaking?
You're lucky we got to leave because I am, you know what I'm saying? That's foul.
What's foul?
He should be receiving that award in Cincinnati whenever the Dodgers come to Cincinnati. So whatever fans are there can cheer him on. You shouldn't be awarding him the Cy Young, which he won with Cincinnati in L.A. You guys are coming out. No! The fans deserve this. And I'm not a Reds fan, but the fans deserve to applaud him.
I think it would hurt here. I think it would hurt at Great American Ballpark to watch him be honored with it. It would pain me. It would pain me. But good for you coming in with the hot take. I like it. And it's not even a hot take. I hate the term hot take, but good for you for coming in swinging.
That is like, hey, look what you guys don't have anymore. We're going to give him the Cy Young Award that he won with you guys at our
park. You bring up a good point. For instance, like Dwight Howard, who is he with now? Philly. When the Lakers played Philly, when they played at Philly, they didn't give him his ring.
Yeah.
It was when Philly was at the Lakers and they gave him his ring. Okay. I could, but as a Reds fan, it would pain me to watch it at Great American Ballpark. So there's that. All right, folks, have a great night. Reds Dodgers tonight, 10-10 the first pitch, 9:40 the pregame. Until tomorrow, it's been the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers and Orion Sports Medicine. Happy Monday, everybody.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 14.